let's do it. It is March 27th, 2016. This is the Overdose Talk Show. Yippee-ki-yay, David Box.
Yippee-ki-yay.
Hi, Andrea.
Hello.
It's a rainy, breezy, balmy evening here in New Orleans. And Andrea, David Box, of course, on Skype from Chicago.
Where it's also rainy.
Yeah. Dude, speaking of being in New Orleans, everybody calls this this town a food town. And if you're from Chicago, you know, and it's not just like a thing of like, oh, our city's like, there's really good food in Chicago and consistent, right? It's like across the board.
Everywhere.
Like your average just fucking cheap diner experience is pretty good compared to the rest of the country if you've traveled around a little bit, you know?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
And just like, you know, taco places, hot dog places, whatever, you know what I mean? It's all pretty decent.
Pizza.
Dude, New Orleans food is fucking horrible for the day-to-day experience and just living here. To get just like anything halfway decent is really expensive, or you're just eating total garbage most of the time. But there's this one diner down the street that I've gone to for years, and I really like it there. It's like one of the only just normal places here that's just normal fucking food at a normal price without there being like a Louisiana twist or some weird kind of kitschy thing going on with it, you know.
Try our Cajun scrambled eggs.
Yeah, or if not that, there's like everything has a twist, you know. Everything's got to be some really unique take on this kind of cuisine, you know, or whatever. Anyways, so I'm sitting there with Darcy at the counter, and I'm kind of staring at this girl's ass, right? She's one of the waitresses there, and she wears like no pants. They're like like yoga pants, and I'm just sitting there looking, and she's like, "Are you looking at what I'm looking at?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think so." And she's like, "You are? That you mean that cook sitting down in the kitchen, taking off his shoe and his sock and touching his foot?" And I was like, "What?" And I look, and right in our line of sight, back barely behind the door in the kitchen, this fucking cook is sitting there with his shoe off and his sock like pulled up to his toes and like rubbing his bare foot. And I'm like, I know that this fucking animal is not gonna wash his hands. I know it, you know. And sure enough, and he's fucking sweaty and shit, you know what I mean? And and sure enough, he gets back up and just grabs a plate and starts plating up some food. And walks back up to the grill and cracks a few eggs, grabs a spatula, puts some potatoes on a plate and stuff, and hands a plate to somebody. I'm like, no, God. So we only had coffee sitting there, and I'm like, I have like a phobia of being pompous, you know? And so I'll bend over backwards and like take some bad treatment sometimes, you know? But like this, I'm like, dude, we have to leave. We have to go. I cannot do this anymore now that I've just witnessed this. I know shit fucking I was a cook for 10 years. Shit happens, you know, in kitchens. You don't really generally want to see the kitchen. That is not a good idea, you know, because there's always going to be some shit. I hate when there's an open kitchen because I know it's like 95% chance I'm going to see something I don't like. The guy's going to grab raw meat and not wash his hands and grab lettuce or some shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he's seriously sitting there rubbing his sweaty bare foot and then getting back up and cooking. And I'm like, dude, that's too much. We're done. We got to go. And I'm sorry. And the waiter comes back up, and we had stalled, been like, oh, we need another minute, you know, and stuff. And I'm like, we just have to go. And he comes back up. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. Is everything all right? You know, I'm like, yeah, dude. I got to talk to you outside for a minute. And he's like, all right. And he follows us outside, and I told him what happened, and we had left money for the coffee and stuff. He's like, first of all, just take your money back. He gives us money back. He's like, I can't take any money from you. That's the worst thing I've ever heard. Like, that's fucking horrible.
Oh God.
And even then, I'm like such a fucking cunt that I'm like, oh, you know, I don't want to get anybody in trouble or anything, or, you know, it's just fucking a horrifyingly disgusting, you know, thing to see. And just,
Yeah, but then you start to feel like you're tattling.
dude, I felt uncomfortable for like hours after that because I'm like, just, yeah, I don't, right, exactly. I don't want to be a tattletale in any position, but it was fucking really, really gross.
Well, when your foot hurts real bad, I mean, you do what you got to do.
Yeah, I guess. But dude, I've done some shit in kitchens. You know, yeah, sure. One time, I was cooking at this place called Cafe Beignet on Decatur Street down here in New Orleans, and this lady, you would not believe, this is like something out of a movie. I'm carrying like 17 plates. You know how you got them like stacked up both arms when it works like that? And because at this place you had to cook and then run all the food out to the tables. So I'm carrying like 17 plates, and this lady had deduced that like her food was next as I was carrying it, you know? And a piece of her French bread falls off the side of the plate onto the floor. And since I had one arm free, I just picked it up so I could toss it in the garbage can. And as I picked it up, she goes real loud in front of everybody. She goes, "Oh no, you go back to the kitchen and get me a new piece of bread." Like I was just gonna pick it up off the floor in front of her and put it back on the plate, you know. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I was gonna do. What the fuck do you think I'm doing? And so I'm like, okay, all right. So I left her plate there, and I brought the same piece of bread that I dropped on the floor back to the kitchen with me, and I rubbed it all over my balls for like 15
No.
yeah, seriously, for like 15 20 seconds. And you know, in New Orleans it's fucking 110 degrees. This is a bad thing to do to someone. So I got soaked up all the sweat, threw it back in the salamander, you know, to toast it a little bit, and then just brought it back out to her, and she's like, "Thank you." Like,
I was
"You're
gonna ask,
welcome."
didn't she like detect a horrific sour smell emanating from the bread after
Oh my
that?
God.
I don't know. The sweat was all fresh. It's just probably fucking salty, a little salty, you
Oh
know.
God.
Yeah, dude. That's
Well, she sounded like she deserved that.
no, she
though.
was a total cunt. That's the only thing I've ever done like that. I never really fucked with people's food. But anyways, after you see it, even though you know shit's going on everywhere you go, after you see it, you're like, ugh, I just can't now. I gotta leave.
Yeah. I don't even really like looking in the kitchen at the restaurant where I currently work
No, you
because I'm
can't.
afraid of what I'll see.
Yeah, dude. I every place I've ever worked, I end up not eating there because I see how disgusting everyone is.
Right.
Fucking horrific what happens. Dude, the last place I worked was a burger place. I swear to God, you know, you're touching raw burgers all day, and 90% of the people there wouldn't wash their hands for hours at a time and just be making salads, grabbing raw meat, making fucking, you know, whatever else, and just completely just touching everything with raw meat hands. That's what happens in almost every restaurant. I see people
Yeah.
holding raw chicken that, you know, it's like the worst thing, leaves a film of like oily chicken blood on your hands, and then just like wipe their hand on their apron and like keep grabbing other stuff. Yeah, no, God, that's normal. That's totally normal.
Yeah, that's just terrible. Ugh. I don't handle a lot of food, and like I feel like alcohol kills a lot of germs. The worst thing I've ever done is like as a joke, I stuck my finger in someone's drink and then they took it to a table. That was today, actually. I'm not even kidding. But I'm too afraid that someone's going to see me on either side, you know?
Oh yeah, it's not good. It's just bad karma, I think, to really
Yeah.
fuck with people's food too much.
Well, and I'm aware of that when I go out. And like, besides the fact that I like just want to be a decent person, I never want to be the type of person that someone wants to rub their ball sweat on my food.
One thing, yeah, you don't want to mess around too much with your servers. You really don't, or especially you don't want to fuck with cooks. God damn it, you really
that would probably be more accurate.
really don't. But I remember this one place I worked. Some of the guys there would, if a cockroach like ran through the kitchen, they would just capture it and then put it in a bowl and just pour hot oil from the fryer onto it.
Oh, Jesus
Like
Christ.
just fry it. It would
And
sizzle.
then when they eat it? No.
That's that same place. We also used to take dough and form it into poo shapes and then fry it for a long time until it was like dark brown, and then we would go to the bathroom that the customers use and just put like one on the toilet seat and then like three more, leaving a trail like out the door, so like so it looked like somebody shit their way out of the bathroom.
Oh God.
Yeah, so this,
That's like a weird, complicated thing to do.
yeah. That was unbelievably hilarious, though, when you're fucking 21 and really bored at your job, to just make a bunch of fake shit and put it through the bathroom and watch for people to open the door and just look horrified.
That's funny at any age.
Yeah, that is funny. You're right. That's still funny. So
are you going to ever go back to the place with the foot chef?
I don't know. I really like eating there, too. And it's like, I'm sure that's happened every time I've eaten there, and I just didn't know. And that guy's just a dirty fuck, and doesn't
now
give
every
a shit.
single thing you've eaten and enjoyed from that restaurant has had that chef's foot in it.
Ugh, yeah. And so now it's like, now I don't know if I can go back there. I really don't. Not for a while. Maybe if I order to go and pick it up, then it'll be like the kitchen doesn't really exist. I just won't look at it when I go in there. I'll just go straight to the register. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll see how it goes.
That should work.
Well, the guy's helping you build up antibodies.
I know.
It's good.
See,
you've never gotten sick before.
That's true, and it's probably because I've been eating foot
and
germs
his foot
my whole
hurts
life.
real bad, dude. Like, what's he gonna do?
Cut him some slack.
I've also been watching The Walking Dead a whole bunch, which
that's unlike you. I feel
kind
like.
of
Speaking of feet,
I don't know how it just happened. I just got into it somehow, and it's like, it's okay. There's a lot of killing, and there's a lot of like suspense and whatever. It's all right, but the characters are not that believable. It's kind of annoying.
Is the killing
There's
at
a lot of
least
things-
violent?
Yeah, it is. It's like insanely violent for TV. Actually, I kind of couldn't believe it was on TV.
All right, that's pretty good. Well, it's on cable, I think.
But it's more like, I don't know. There's a so they call the zombies, they call them walkers, right? And then every time they run into like a new group of people, they'll have like a different name for them, but nobody ever says zombie. It's like, if this fucking show takes place on Earth, everyone would be saying zombie all the time. Not to mention, everyone would be saying fucking cocksucker, cunt, faggot, nigger, zombies constantly, and they can't
Always.
and they can't swear on the show. So it just seems weird. Like, when instead of swearing, they do stuff like, there's this guy who goes, he's all pissed off, and they're trying to fix a fire truck or some shit, and he's going, "Is there no damned corner on this damned planet that hasn't been dicked hard beyond all recognition?" It just doesn't seem right. That guy would be unleashing, just a firestorm of profanity of all types if it was real life. And,
Yeah, every single one of those swear words could have been upgraded to an F word.
Oh yeah. Yeah, completely. And I think the writers are starting to fuck around after a while, because they're getting sick of having to write clean in these situations. And so that same guy, in a later episode, he's like getting chased by zombies. And this is so even awkward to repeat. I couldn't believe this line actually happened. I had to rewind it. Rewind like it's a tape. I had to,
Yeah.
I had to rewind the digital file, just wrapping ones and zeros around some copper
Yeah.
wire. That's how computers work, right?
Yeah.
So I back it up. And I'm like, dude, this guy's getting chased by zombies, and he actually goes, "Mother dick." And I'm like,
What?
Mother dick? That reminded me of when I was a kid, and one of my friend's little sisters tried to like swear because he told her something that was untrue, and she goes, "That's bullfuck." It kind of reminded me of that. I'm like, that's not how when some little kid would swear, you're like, you're not swearing right.
Yeah, you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
that's great though. I love that.
Mother dick. And I think he said it twice. I'm like, that's got to be, at that point, the writers are just like, okay, they want us to write clean. Okay, mother dick. That's what you got. How do you like that?
Yeah. You're welcome.
We're looking for something new.
We're fucking half the show is stabbing knives into people's foreheads and like they're fucking killing kids and all kinds of shit. And
Oh, they kill kids?
oh yeah. Yeah. Kids
Oh,
get
we
killed.
gotta start watching that.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
pretty good. That doesn't happen a lot.
No, I know. And they even have there's one part where this fucking broad has to execute a kid who's like totally fine, not even a zombie, because she just doesn't get how the new world works and she's too much of a danger to everyone. And so she just takes her out in the woods and shoots her in the head.
Whoa.
Yeah. So, but also, okay, so nobody ever says zombie, and every time they come into a new group, they go, oh, yeah, and they, like, casually introduce the new name that group has for the zombies, and they'll, like, go, you know, oh, yeah, the face biters try to come in here. Oh, you call them that?
Face biters.
We call them walkers. Yeah, every time they come into a new group, they have some new ridiculous name. Fucking vein chewers everywhere. Just stupid names they come up
Old
with.
skull chompers.
Yeah. So
Are they the brains eating type of zombies, or are they like the disease zombies?
Here's the other thing that doesn't make any sense to me. They're in this show. They have like you turn into a zombie if you die of it in any way. So if you have fucking pancreatic cancer, you know, you die and turn into a zombie, or whatever, you know, get hit in the head with a sword. You don't have to be bit. So like everyone on Earth is already infected, but you just turn after you die. But then also if you get bit, you become a zombie. Like, I'm not sure how that works. Because like getting bitten,
They're just venomous, so when they bite you, you die,
and getting
and
bit,
you turn into a zombie.
and getting bitten at all is like, oh, they're like, oh no, now we got to shoot you in the head, you know. But but then once in a while somebody stays alive for like a week after they've been bitten. It's all inconsistent, as is the amount of time it takes to turn into a zombie after you die. It all just depends on how suspenseful it is, you know, and how much time they have to get out of the room. But the zombies are the slow kind too, so they just kill
What the hell?
They
Who
just
cares?
kill like 7,000 of them, you know, and it only becomes a problem when there's like a fucking giant herd. And then they have to, you know, go get into some impossible situation, and then some hero swoops in and saves the day. It's all really stupid.
Yeah.
But since when are so that's the thing. Zombie movies in general kind of suck, right? But there's just this kind of appealing thing about it that it's like you really do just sit there and think like, man, I wonder if I would be able to do this. Like, where would I go? You start thinking about your neighborhood and like who would survive and where you would go and where you'd get supply. That's like what's fun about it. It's kind of a voyeuristic thing that's like a fantasy that almost everyone has, is what would it be like to be around if almost everyone else was dead? And what if I could just go into a store and take whatever and just run through the streets killing things and just camp out and fucking, you know, find food and eat it? Maybe not everybody, but I think a lot of us like to sit there and go, man, that would actually be kind of cool. You know, in a way, you kind of just really want this. Like,
I could make this fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'd totally be one of the people running around like a complete badass with no training at all. You know, just wasting and murdering people.
Shooting randomly into crowds and waving swords over your head.
Right.
Spinning around like a propeller with swords in your hands.
But you know what I'm talking about. Do you guys don't like zombie movies at all?
No, I like the ones with the fast zombies because they're like scary.
See, that's just, we don't want fast zombies.
No, I don't want them. I like those because I feel more detached from them.
Right.
Slow zombies, I don't think I would live. I'm not physically superior enough.
To a slow zombie?
No, and also I just don't know about like killing even a zombie. I would probably be miserable. If I did survive, I'd probably end up committing suicide.
Yeah, eventually. I might
Especially
say
if
the
I
same thing.
knew there was no chance I wouldn't become a zombie. If I knew no matter what happened, either if I die eventually or if I get bitten by a zombie and I'm going to become one, I would never be able to handle that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'd probably
No way.
blow my
I would
head
kill
off.
myself.
Here's one. How come nobody's ever made this movie? What if a person bites a zombie and they turn back into a person? How come that's not a thing? You know what I mean? That should be the rule. If you
Oh my God.
tackle a zombie and bite it in the neck, it should turn back into a person. That's how I feel, at least.
I feel like you would just get infected with the zombie blood.
No. You're not listening. Person bites zombie, they turn back into person. We got a call, I assume, on zombies. Our friend
All right.
Eric up in New York, our biggest fan. Hello.
Yo, what's up?
It's too loud. Hey, what's going on?
Not too much. I watched The Walkers tonight. That's one of our favorite shows. We love it.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those ones that sucks you in because everything is a fucking cliffhanger, and you're like, oh God. And then for a while, you're not even enjoying it anymore. You're just like, son of a bitch, I gotta watch more of this fucking shit and see what happens. You're like, I wanted to do something today.
I hear you there.
So what's up? What do you got for us?
No, I was just gonna talk about The Walkers there. I mean, like you said, it does suck you in. It does get a little lame, but there's some pretty gory ass shit going on nowadays. The zombies are definitely getting better. That's cool.
Yeah, it does look pretty good. It's pretty fucking pretty solid with the special effects and everything like that. Pretty decent.
I love me some gory violence.
You know
There's
what-
nothing like it.
You know what else I noticed when you watch it with captions on Netflix? When they stab somebody in the head, in parentheses it says flesh squelches.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
How many seasons
Yeah,
are there?
tonight some lady took an arrow right through the back of the head of the eyeball. That was pretty nuts. That was cool.
Yeah, that's all right. I don't know. It's like 7 seasons or something. But
Yeah.
it's all
The
right.
first episode was the craziest. You know, it was kind of quiet, and you were leading into it. And then they had this little girl zombie, and I was like, "Oh shit, this is gonna be good."
Child zombies are always the scariest.
Oh yeah, definitely.
There's also
Definitely.
like some
Infant
inconsistencies though, like there's some like this one chick like disables some zombies and takes out their jaws and everything so they can't eat her, and then puts them on leashes and starts walking them around, and for some reason that means the other zombies can't see her.
What?
Yeah,
It doesn't make any sense.
she was.
Zombie
Well, it scares
camouflage.
away the other zombies. They think that she's cool. She's with the zombies, so she's dead, and they just avoid her.
Why would they
They've
think
also
that?
cut their skin off before and skin around their bodies and shit and walk through all the zombies.
Yeah, but
that was
see,
pretty nuts.
that doesn't make any sense either because the zombies can't smell them. So, because they'll like hide 2 feet from zombies behind a tree. Supposedly the zombies can only like see and hear them. And so there's never anything about smell, but for some reason rubbing zombie blood all over you confuses them. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, right.
That's a stupid
Yeah, and you're
shit.
not supposed to have fires and shit like that because they can smell the smoke, but they fucking burn shit all the time, you know?
Yeah, they're constantly sitting around campfires, like, you know, having casual conversations and stuff.
Yeah. It's definitely like low budget, but it fucking hit the air like crazy.
Yeah, it's all right. It's a dumb show.
It was.
Yeah, based on this, I'm probably never going to watch it.
Really?
No. No, but I've never seen it, and you guys aren't making it sound watchable.
It's all right. It's as good as any other zombie thing, I guess.
All right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Vinny hates everything, and he's saying that.
Right, yeah. I never
So it's
watch
probably
TV
pretty
shows.
good.
All right, yeah, that's a good point.
Where are my
Fine.
things here? Sorry, I'm looking for something.
Watch the American Horror Story. Way better. That shit's fucking trippy.
I don't like that show so much.
Why? What's wrong with it?
No?
I don't know. I feel like it's written for commercials and everything, so it's just kind of like it seems disjointed when you watch it.
Not the first season. First season scared the hell out of me, but only on
right.
Which
Netflix.
one? The Murder House? The first season?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah, that was pretty nuts.
let's move on to some real shit here.
All right.
What else, Eric? You want to say anything else before we move on?
Ah, that's cool. Glad to talk to you guys. Everybody's cool.
All right. Andrea David Box, you couldn't hear that, but that was the dial tone.
Oh, okay.
Oh, cool.
All right, so we were gonna do some stuff on the Brussels attack. I feel like we pretty much just alienated anyone that would ever want to hear anything serious after this.
Yeah, well, that's what we do best.
So what do we got? We had this new attack that I guess involved
Terror.
Yeah, terror. Terror in Brussels. We're all terrified, and guess involved one of the guys that was a bomb maker in the operation in France, with the attack at the Bataclan. So what's the basics on it, Andrea? You want to give people the rundown?
Yeah, 2 explosions occurred at the airport in Brussels around 8 a.m. on Tuesday. At least one was caused by a suicide bomber, but for some reason they're not sure about that. And then an hour later at the subway station right nearby the airport, another explosion went off, which killed 20 people in the airport. About 10 people died, and more than 230 others were wounded. And then 8 hours following that, the Islamic State took credit for the attack.
All right.
Now this happened. I was and still am kind of confused regarding who has been arrested in connection with this. So they did a bunch of searches, and they searched everybody's houses and stuff like that, and they locked down the city. They apprehended 3 suspects, one of whom is supposed to be a suicide bomber whose explosives didn't go off, so he ran away.
Right, and that's the guy who was also involved in the France attack, right?
I don't know.
I thought so. Whatever. Whatever. Okay.
No, the guy who was arrested in connection to the France attacks, his arrest happened right before this attack. So they're saying that maybe the fact that they caught him triggered another attack.
Oh, is that what it was? I thought he was involved in
Yes.
this. Okay.
Yeah, I was confused about that too. Well, they're making it seem like he was involved in it because of the timing of his arrest versus this attack.
Oh, all right.
Because the Paris attacks happened back in November.
So, again, like we always talk about, there's of course, like I've seen a few things already about this is a hoax, blah, blah, blah. We would see more dead and injured people in the video footage if this was real. And, and more as I go on, I'm thinking if the people that arrange this stuff are so completely evil that they really don't have any morals to what they do, why would they not just make real attacks happen? Why go through take the risk and go through the trouble of staging a whole thing, that people on YouTube can pick up on and run with and say, oh, this is completely fake? Why would they not just fucking do like they do here and get an actual disturbed youth to go in and commit some violence and coerce them to do it?
Right.
So
yeah, remember the Paris footage where that guy got shot at point blank range and there was no blood or anything?
No, I know there's I'm not
Why
saying
is it all
that,
weird?
Yeah, see, I'm not saying that there are no hoaxes. Classically Sandy Hook. Something weird happened there. And I've never been one to say definitively no kids were killed. But who's supposed to come on the show? I don't think I told you guys. And I've only talked to her on Google Plus, and I'm horrible with that because there's no notifications, and I completely forgot to fucking confirm her. But she's gonna be on soon, hopefully. Jenny Girl, the YouTube channel is called Jenny Girl, and I don't think she discloses her actual identity. But she put out a $1,000 challenge for anyone to provide any evidence or photographic evidence, I guess, of an evacuation from that school. Because I guess that's kind of what it's come down to in the Sandy Hook community is show us any evidence that there was actually kids being evacuated from that school. All there is the picture, you remember, from the Newtown Bee of 18 kids or whatever walking in a line with their hands on each other's shoulders. So she's gonna be on the show soon. We're gonna talk to her about all that. But anyway, so yeah, there are hoaxes. But especially as far as Islamic terror goes, at this point, yes, it has been largely created and controlled by Western intelligence. Right now, there's a CIA group and a Pentagon-backed group fighting in Syria against each other. We'll do that later, too. But so a lot of this stuff is controlled or provoked or somehow influenced by Western intelligence. That doesn't mean that it's not really happening. So I don't see any reason that with as radicalized as a lot of Muslims have become in these areas, that these attacks, are unlikely to happen. It's not like they're unbelievable. What have we had, Andrea, since January? You looked it up. How many attacks have Islamic terrorist groups taken credit for since January of this year?
All right. So since January of this year, there have been 242 recorded terror attacks in the world, and 133 of those have been committed by people either associated with Islam extremists or inspired by them. That's over half.
Who compiled that data?
That's from Wikipedia.
Okay. I don't know, but all right, so say it's off a little bit one way or the other or whatever. That still represents a giantly out of proportion percentage of terrorist attacks around the world, because you think about it, like how many tiny little political factions there are in hostile areas around the world and fighting their governments and stuff. I mean, governments are who decides what's called a terrorist act too. So like a lot of these are things that you might not even consider terrorism as you go around the world,
Right.
If you kind of have your own definition of it, or not your own, but you know what I mean. So whatever. Anyways, this just represents an extremely large percentage of actual terror attacks, even maybe a higher one than it would appear from the initial statistics, is my point.
Yeah, and there are a lot of these are marked as unknown as well, because nobody specifically took credit for them.
Sure.
So the number could be much higher.
And of course, most of them are against Muslims.
Right.
Muslim on Muslim bombing.
Yeah.
And I was blown away.
Almost all of them, really.
I was blown away to hear that there have been that many attacks, and we still have this ridiculous argument in this country about come on, guys, there's no such thing as really Muslim terrorists. These are all people who have misinterpreted the religion and stuff. And it's I get it. You can totally practice your religion and be peaceful. There's overwhelming evidence that many, probably the vast majority of Muslims are totally peaceful, right? But what is it about your religion that's inspiring this, this much? This is not a negligible amount of violence that goes on. You know what I mean? It's not like where they point to Christians and go the KKK is Christian or something. You know what I mean? This is a lot of shit happening.
I've heard that Muhammad was a war dude, and he was beheading people and all kinds of shit. And
right.
I think part of, I don't remember, but I think part of it is that there's a suggestion that you won't have world peace until everybody has the same religion, and that part of his whole thing was converting and purging.
Yeah, and we've all seen the quotes from the Quran that say, that you're supposed to execute infidels or whatever they are, and people can find the same stuff in the Bible, I think, maybe to a little bit lesser degree. But it's why are there not crazy Christian groups running around giving Christianity a bad name in this way? And people on the other side will go, well, how about the Crusades? No. Now. And plus, by the way, the Crusades was basically, the culmination of 700 years of Muslim occupation of Southern Europe. So, and it was not just
they were asking for it.
Well, but it wasn't it wasn't as though Christians took off on a crusade to convert the world and kill all the non-believers. It was basically, we're gonna take the land back in the name of God. It's all stupid. But I'm just saying it's not as though Christians just went on this crazy, bloodthirsty rampage for no reason. That's when the whole Knights Templar started. It was basically because so many Christians were getting abducted and sold into slavery, killed, robbed, raped, blah 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 by hostile Muslims along their pilgrimages. And the Knights Templar were formed originally to kind of guard Christians against Muslims. So whatever, I just wonder what it is that's you know what I mean? If it's not the religion, and it's not that, and it's surely not that like all Muslims are prone to this behavior, because I don't believe that whatsoever at all. But something about this book is making a lot of people kill a lot of other people. It would seem it would seem to me, right?
Well, when you put it that way, I mean, it's hard to argue with.
Yeah. I mean, and they've had whatever. I'm not trying to like demonize them when I talk about going back through history, how brutal they've been. They also were making around that time amazing advancements in medicine and science that Christians couldn't even hold a candle to. At the time when Christians were going, you have a headache? Let's fucking drive a cross into your forehead and say a bunch of Hail Marys. We'll try to get. Yeah. There's probably a demon in there.
Sounds like we should.
No, and Muslim doctors, at that time were applying like herbs and natural remedies and figuring things out.
Yeah. And
saying drink a glass of water, stupid. All you've had is ale for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And grog. So yeah, I mean, there's a complicated history, and again, it's these factions too, because they're talking about in Syria. One of the biggest things that's going on is Sunnis have immigrated there en masse and kind of declared that they want to take over. Like they always, the Sunnis and the Shiites have been warring in certain areas for whatever, since when was that? The 1400s or something?
Yeah, forever.
Yeah, and
never-ending war.
And it's just a really hostile thing with a lot of ins and outs, a lot of interested parties, man. All right, we got. That was a Big Lebowski reference. If you guys weren't fucking retarded with movies, you would have known that. But you've never. Yeah, see, we got another caller on the phone. It's our stupid dad. Hello.
Oh.
Hey, what's going on?
Oh, nothing. I'm just enjoying hearing about the Muslims.
Yeah, it's hard to understand a lot of this stuff. It's like I've tried to kind of study the history of them a little bit just to get a little perspective. But when you grow up here in the United States, it's almost impossible to read a news article and decipher some of it, because you have to be really familiar with all these different sects and the group's names.
Yeah,
and stuff.
It's hard to find any objectivity. Yeah,
and the language is so much different that like you see words that it's you're like that doesn't even make sense to me. I don't even recognize that as a word. So it's even harder to remember all the the names of all these groups and who's doing what and whatever.
Yeah.
So
yeah. What I wanted to remind you of, though, as far as Christian violence, the Spanish Inquisition, a lot of people died during the Spanish Inquisition.
I think we've established on the show before that we don't know what that is. Haven't we?
Yeah.
Well, there was a guy, all I know is, and I don't know the details, but I know that there was a guy named Cardinal Richelieu who started it. Just, it was questioning people's faith, whether there's enough faith.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
To just.
Yeah, and then if people wouldn't say they were Christian, they'd be tortured to death and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, that's how you get things done.
But still, okay, that's hundreds and hundreds of years ago. What evidence is there now that like Christianity is as much of a problem in the world as Islam?
Well,
and I'm not trying to play like favorites, because I don't care. I think it's all kind of stupid. But my point is, like, we're kind of being sold this narrative right now that, and what is all that noise? What are you doing?
I'm a Jewel.
All right, we're kind of being sold this narrative right now. He's gonna get beat up talking about Muslims at the grocery store.
Huh?
Nothing. We're all being sold this narrative right now that's supposed to be like, come on, be tolerant. There's nothing wrong with immigrants from Syria coming here by the thousand, you know, and even though they're 95% Sunnis who are considered invaders there and hostile outsiders, and then, you know, with extremely anti-American views and stuff, and they're all, and you know what I mean? We're kind of being sold this idea of like, you're a xenophobe if you think Islam is more violent than Christianity, right? Everyone has seen this, right?
Yeah, right.
Andrea, David Box?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, so this is kind of what I'm getting at is when you actually look at the facts, 133 attacks this year, what are you supposed to think?
Well, yeah, I know, and it's
that is just a few bad apples.
Yeah, exactly. But this isn't happening. Like, there's no fucking where are the Buddhist hijackers? Where is that going on? You know, and you're supposed to put all these things on an equal level of like, well, it's a belief system, it's a way of life. Well, I don't know, dude. I'm gonna just go ahead and say Buddhism's better because they're not going around blowing anybody up. I'm sure somebody
they're trying this hard to kill me.
Somebody can find a story somewhere about some Buddhists going nuts, I'm sure. But you see my point, right?
I think they just set themselves on fire, don't they?
I think if they're truly practitioners of their religion, yes, they do. And Taoists, there's no fucking Taoist shooters at the mall. That's never happened that I've heard of.
Yeah.
No, not even a Seventh-day Adventist at the mall, you know.
Where's the Jewish fucking, oh yeah, Palestine. Okay, well.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. No, I know. And look, I don't blame Muslims for wanting to kill Jews. Just, you know, leave everybody else out of it.
Get a grip on it, Muslims.
You know you're part Jewish, don't you?
Is that true? That would actually
Yeah.
be pretty devastating. Really?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
That's not good.
Fuck,
Dad, you're ruining my future marriage.
That explains the scales.
I'm out
My
of here.
maternal grandfather.
Well, it's passed down through the mother, so it doesn't count.
Yeah, that explains the small patches of scales
But
on
it's
my
my-
back
it's
and
my
and the formation of a tail that's beginning.
Come on.
Well, I had to mute you because you just started talking over me in a joke I tried to make 3 times. All right. Well, anyways, Jews are reptiles. I'm apparently now a Jew.
Hooray.
What else you got for us?
Well, that's about all. I mean, I think all religions have their, the potential for violence.
Sure.
Just because they're, they claim to be religious groups, but ultimately they're political groups.
No, and I see people all the time pointing out different Christians who have done things violent. People will say like Timothy McVeigh, even though Timothy McVeigh didn't fucking do that on his own. That was part of a much larger conspiracy. Which have we done that one?
No,
yet?
but
We should go
I
over
don't
that
think
in
I don't
detail
think
sometime.
so.
Yeah, we should go over that in detail. But anyways, they'll point to stuff like that or Dylan Roof, and Jesus Christ, none of this stuff that people typically point to was done on behalf of a group that uses the Bible to justify what they're doing. You know what I mean? Like even the KKK.
Except the KKK.
No, they didn't even really do that. And plus, it's pretty arguable, with a organization with no real centralized leadership. It's pretty hard to determine what all the KKK really did back in the 20s and stuff, and figure out what all is really attributed to them and who was saying what and who was a government operative and all of that.
They did have a more centralized spot of leadership in the 60s. I think they called that the Third Klan.
Mm-hmm. That was
the Nathan Bedford Forrest Klan, and then the Klan Rita Rose in the 20s, and then the one in the 60s.
Right.
Had a guy, I forget his name now.
David Duke.
Huh?
David Duke.
No. Well, he's just a wannabe little putz from Louisiana, I think.
Yeah, we were actually going to talk about him a little bit anyways. I was watching some of his videos. You know, he's really not unintelligent. Like, I'll agree with him about some stuff, and then other stuff, it's like he'll go into, homosexuality is wrong, and mixing races I don't believe in. And it's like, man, I could not give a fuck less about any of that shit. But I do agree with him about, a lot of stuff that he points out about, the double standard for white people in media and in artistic expression even and every other place, and also the fact that there's kind of like an open, there's like I think he calls it a genocide, a European American or European genocide around the planet, that we're not reproducing at a rate to even sustain our populations while the brown people are taking over. I don't know if it bothers me, but I think he's right about the numbers. So I don't know. He's an interesting guy and not.
Yeah, but Vin, he's a politician too.
No, I understand that. So was Ron Paul.
Pretty adept at selling himself.
You like
he's not a good guy. I'm sorry. He's not a good guy. He makes some interesting points. This guy's all do. I'm tired of all this racist horse shit.
Well, if you listen to him though, I mean, he doesn't promote racism. He's a separatist, which I think you can view as stupid and kind of short-sighted and whatever else. But he really believes like people should have their own nations based on race,
Okay, well, I don't think people should have their own nations.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. A lot of it I don't agree with and don't really care about. But a lot of it's pretty interesting. Andrea, you watched some David Duke stuff, right?
Yeah, I watched a little bit. I watched his response to Donald Trump.
Yeah, because that's why
Trump pretended not to know who he was.
That's why he's back in the news again, because they're trying to get Donald Trump to disavow.
Accept his.
But see, David Duke came back out and said, "Hey, I'm not even officially endorsing Donald Trump as a politician or whatever like that." He's like, "I'm just saying I'm going to vote for him, pretty much because of his views on immigration, and that's about it."
Yeah, and about how he knew that other candidates would vote on certain legislation versus how Donald Trump would.
And he also said the same thing I have said recently, is like, with pretty much everyone else, you kind of know what you're going to get. This is at least kind of a live wire, and if he gets influenced the right way, it could be a good thing or it could be a horrible thing. I don't really know. But
what does the president do, though? You just on a recent show had a big discussion about what do we need a president for?
Well, I know.
What does the guy really do?
That's true.
What is he going to do? He's going to build this really nice wall on the border?
No, he's not going to do that.
No, that's not
the Mexicans are.
Yeah. Well, the Mexicans have a border on their south wall, which we learned on the last show.
Well, you know what? Did you actually research that enough to find out that it's true?
No, why?
And if so, that's who's that border with? Honduras?
Fuck, I don't know.
I'll look it up.
But it's only a couple 100 miles there at Central America. And that's one thing. And the other, no, it was Guatemala.
Guatemala.
But anyway, the point is, it's really much less of an issue. If Mexico wanted to, see, they're not involved in 300 military bases in 240 countries around the world, so they could actually afford to use their army in defense of their homeland. If this were really a threat, Mexican immigration, which I mean has been going on for centuries. And if that's such a threat, then bring your goddamn troops home that are just sticking their noses in other countries' business. Bring them home and put them along the border.
Amen. Bring our boys home.
Put a guy every 5 feet if you want to. You sure as hell have enough guys. I mean, we're so spread out over the world, and we're talking this nonsense about, we're going to build a fence. That was the first thing I heard, was it was going to be a fence.
Yeah, that'll
Jesus
work.
Christ. When I was 14 years old, you could not build a fence that you could keep me out of. It was impossible. What self-respecting 14-year-old Mexican kid isn't going to want to go climb the fence just because it's there?
Just dig under
If
it.
you really want to get serious about immigration and keep people out of the country that has, decimated its native population, I mean, there are no natives left, hardly. The ones that are left have casinos, and they're very happy. But the rest of them we fucking slaughtered and populated the country with immigrants.
Right.
So, it's kind of hypocritical from the start of it. If it's a security issue and you need to vet people that are coming over, then we got a bigger problem because Canada is the real weak link.
Well, I think to a lot of people, they go, here, there's tax dollars get appropriated in this way for this amount of spending, but with as many undocumented people that are not being taxed and still taking advantage of these programs and blah blah blah, that's where the drain comes in. And I'm sure it's really negligible compared to what we waste, in other fucking silly ways as a country and with our government. But still, I understand. I understand
like having an EPA spending billions of dollars a year on the EPA.
No, I mean,
and then having something happen like happened in Flint, Michigan.
Sure, the EPA,
Come on.
They're completely useless. I mean, sure, I'm sure that people can go, okay, well, they found this infection here or this blah 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 here or this, but like really compared with the amount of stuff that gets through the EPA because of bribes or associations, you know what I mean, with people who work for different companies and then lobby and then work inside the government, their wife does or their husband does or whoever.
Absolutely.
That
it's
is
too
all
fucking
way
corrupt.
It's
way too corrupt for anything to get done right. Milton Friedman, who was like the biggest economist of my lifetime, said if the federal government
what about the guy on Mad Money?
Of the Sahara Desert, in 5 years there'd be a shortage of sand.
Right.
And that kind of sums it up.
I've shared that
quote
meme
that
before.
I've been thinking about a lot for the last couple of weeks is, what's his name? Mark Twain said, if you're really made a difference, you wouldn't be allowed to do it.
If what?
So,
Voting.
Mark Twain said, if
yeah,
our
but
vote
the word didn't come
made a difference,
yeah,
we wouldn't be allowed to do it.
we all know that quote.
Yeah, and it's a fantastic one.
Sure.
I mean, that guy was brilliant.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that what David Duke said about Donald Trump is something I kind of understood. Whatever. That's all.
Yeah.
About
right.
about just hey, like at least there's a chance that this guy might not be out to fuck us. But I don't know.
Well, I don't think he's real. I mean, I think he's a plant in the Democratic Party to sabotage the Republican Party.
Do you really think it works that way? You don't think they're all just working together at that level?
Well, no. This is a chance. It was predetermined that Hillary was going to be president.
Okay, right. So so they all do work together. Because you say plant from the Democratic Party, it makes it sound like they're actually working against each other, which I just can't believe.
No, this is the way to manipulate the illusion.
Yeah, yeah.
And and push us down a path that we think is critical thinking, when critical thinking does not exist.
That might
because
be,
they don't want it to exist.
What about Bernie Sanders? No chance for him to catch up, it looks like.
who cares? She's not going to be president. Hillary is the next president. She's part of the royalty. She was married to a president.
I don't understand how everyone isn't completely disgusted to see a Clinton and a Bush anywhere near a fucking a political debate anymore. Just that's enough.
Right.
That's enough of you. Get the fuck out of here. I mean, this is not how it was supposed to work.
Take your perfectly round heads and get the fuck out of here. Yeah. I agree with you.
I don't understand how anyone can take it seriously at this point. And I get the Bernie Sanders people. I get that he talks about some cool stuff, and that he does speak out against.
Yes, he does.
You know, the international.
He says some great stuff.
International banking system, and he says some of the right stuff. I still don't buy it because he in other ways comes across to me as way too much of a shill. You know, that one thing really stuck with me. Him saying, "Nope, nobody's ever asked for my birth certificate. I wonder if it's the color of my skin." And I just really thought, God, like, you fucking cheap race baiter. You know, you're such a cocksucker for that. Cause
he's, you know, Bernie, you know, I mean, I really do think he may be a guy with good intentions. And I don't think he has the heart to be president. I don't think he's got the heart that the real leaders of the country want in the White House.
Yeah.
You know, I think he's a little too much like Jimmy Carter, and that backfired. You know, Jimmy Carter became an international disgrace. Being a good guy for, you know, telling people, wait a minute, I don't want to argue, let's compromise, you know.
Pussy.
Jimmy Carter got screwed by history.
Yeah.
You know, and look what he's done with his life after his presidency.
And Bill Clinton got screwed by his secretary.
They have nowhere to live. Pardon me?
Nothing.
What'd you say?
I said, well, Jimmy Carter got screwed by his story, and Bill Clinton got screwed by his secretary.
Yeah.
All right.
Monica Lewinsky turned 50 this week.
Hey, that's great.
Yeah. I just saw that headline, and I just thought I'd let you know.
We got to go listen to some audio from Chris the Maniac Matthews. That's what I want him to be called. I wish that was his name, like he was a wrestler, and it said in quotes, the Maniac. 'Cause this guy is a fucking psychopath.
Oh, God, the caffeine freak, yeah.
He is the best because I don't know if you saw this new clip of him just stopping in mid-sentence and going, am I supposed to stop talking? Somebody just told me in my earpiece to stop talking. Imagine the guy that told him to stop talking just dropping his head in his hands like, you fucking pillhead idiot.
Throwing his
God
clipboard
damn it.
in the air.
Fucking moron. Been in show business for 65 years and just stops mid-sentence and asks what just happened on his earpiece on live
Somebody
TV.
make a pot of decaf.
So we gotta check this out. And we'll talk to you later, Pops.
All right, you just have fun.
All right, bye-bye.
So long.
Oops. Well, I meant to do this. Boop. Okay. Want to check out the Chris Matthews audio?
I do.
Here it is on MSNBC.
Bernie Sanders talks about society. He doesn't talk about government. He talks about the individual and competing claims of individual members of society. How a young person coming out of school with a huge school debt is really owed something by society. We should give that young man or woman, both of them, something that they haven't had, some sense of economic independence, and don't make them debtors basically for the first half of their adulthood. And so that's about competing ends. Wealthy people on Wall Street, as he talks about, who make a lot of money, the traders, the speculators, they owe something back to society. And so I think that, am I supposed to stop talking?
No.
Okay, somebody just told me to.
No, please don't.
Okay. And I think so. You have one man who's very effective at talking.
Okay, that's fucking priceless.
Yeah, that's
Awesome.
fantastic.
As soon as he starts talking about Wall Street, bankers, and blah, 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 there we go. Stop talking. Stop talking. Are you nuts?
Am I supposed to stop talking?
Yeah, wait. Is that your Chris Matthews impression? Do that again.
Am I supposed to stop talking?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, somebody just told me to.
No, please don't.
I got to get this. I got to have this as a sample from now on.
Talking?
Am I supposed to stop talking?
Am I supposed to stop talking?
Yeah, that's perfect. Getting that.
a little behind the scenes magic for us
But
for the
so,
howdy doodads.
who's telling him that he's supposed to stop talking in his earpiece? That's what I wonder. How does the conspiracy work? Who's the guy who just
Yeah,
gets
who's
in
in charge of that?
No, stop. It's a producer or somebody, but do you think it's really that? Are they really panicking because what he's talking about all of a sudden?
I don't know. It seems weird, doesn't it? Like, it didn't really seem like he was saying anything even controversial. It's all he
lot
was
of
talking
people
about was
would-
stuff everybody knows.
But that's true. Is like this whole free college and not being indebted, blah blah blah, has been going on for 2 years in the media.
And don't make them debtors basically for the first half of their adulthood. And so that's about competing ends. Wealthy people on Wall Street, as he talks about, who make a lot of money, the traders, the speculators, they owe something back to society. And so I think that, am I supposed to stop talking?
No.
Okay, somebody just told me to.
Why would you ever do that on live TV? In what circumstance why would you be supposed to stop talking and with no plan? It's like, am I just supposed to stop talking and just stare at the camera? Should I just straighten my tie for a while? Is somebody going to come out and comb my hair like they do in commercials? Can someone come back and tie back my jowls? They're falling loose.
Well, maybe he thought that they had gone off air or something.
Why do my eyes look dead and lifeless on the monitor? Is this really me? Jesus, I'm a mess. Should I start talking again? What situation did he think he was possibly in that he was just supposed to stop talking?
Yeah. Oh, is this how we're going to do it now?
And somebody just told him stop talking? I wonder if he just heard it wrong because he's a fucking weird old man.
Well, why are they talking to him in his earpiece while he's talking live on air anyway?
Yeah, it happens. People that do a live talk show like that where millions of people, and they actually care about presentation. See, we don't do that. Yeah, exactly. We just say fuck it. But
Over it.
These guys are all about the crispness,
All right, I do want to go back to Hillary for 1 second.
Okay.
Because she had some interesting stuff to say about Muslims.
Oh, did she? Oh,
She
did.
did.
Did I skip past a bunch of stuff?
No, none of that stuff
I think we hit
matters.
everything, right?
Yeah, and this is not lumped with the Muslim stuff. It's with the Hillary stuff, but I want to talk about it now. She was doing an interview on CBS,
Right.
CBS This Morning, and she made a comment about how ISIS is not the only problem and that they're part of a bigger problem. Let's see, let me get the actual quote. I don't know that Europe has yet fully come to grips with the threat that ISIS poses. And remember, there are other groups that are ISIS-like that are intent upon radical jihadist terrorist attacks.
Yeah, they don't usually like to say that. They usually like to. They used to just use generalizations, terror attacks,
Right.
These horrific bombings. They usually don't say, radical jihadist terrorist attacks. And then this article says, "Whoops." This is from the Conservative Tribune. I don't know how we end up with so many articles from them, because I swear to God, none of us are trying to be conservatives. That's such a dorky thing to be. Whoops, she said the magic words, actually pointing out that Islamic State was part of a larger problem within the community of Islam. CBS promptly dropped her feed like she was Kanye West at an awards show. Bam. Man.
How current.
I wish every stupid idiot couldn't be a writer on the internet now. So we've got to defeat ISIS, and that means being in a very close cooperation, Clinton said before she was cut off. Secretary Clinton, I'm so sorry, co-host Gail King said. We're going to have to leave you now. Thank you for joining us.
We have to return to our home planet.
Dude, man. TV's stupid. So I'm wondering about the Chris Matthews thing again, though. What's your final take on that? Do you think you think somebody told him to stop talking, or he's just an idiot?
Can't it be both?
It can be. It definitely probably is. That's what I'm going with.
I want to go both.
I think it's both. And this guy has been on TV for fucking 7 billion years and has no clue what to do. Just, what? Stop talking?
Do
All right.
what?
Yeah, fine. Okay. Damn. Looks like he's
Oh
on
boy,
pills.
yeah. My only problem
like
is I can't
pills.
imagine who it is telling him to stop.
Yeah, some producer. He's got some
Who's in charge of
connections,
that?
some Illuminati connections. All right, where are we going from here? I assume David Box is asleep.
Yeah, he's out of here.
What a fucking faggot! Did he leave the room?
No.
He just fell asleep right where he is.
Yeah, well, in his defense, where he is where he sleeps. So
Yeah, see, that's the problem. He can't lay down on a bed while he does the show.
I've tried to express this. I don't. It doesn't get through. I don't know.
Ted Cruz is a nightmare of a human being. Cruz's,
Nothing new there.
Cruz's college roommate. Everybody hated Nasty Ted. This is from InfoWars.
Nasty Ted.
Ted Cruz's freshman roommate at Princeton, Craig Mazin, has spent the past year trashing Cruz, not so much for his politics, but for his awful personality. Well, dude, you could tell what a fucking douchebag he was. That moment with his daughter was so telling. You remember when he tries to, like, kiss his daughter goodbye in front of the cameras, and she just, like, pushes his face away? Just like, leave me alone.
Yeah. Dude, he's horrible. And he has this stupid Muppet face, and he looks permanently worried about something.
Yeah, and plus his wife works for Goldman Sachs. You know that, right?
Yeah.
And I think she's got some other connections in the CFR and stuff. He's just bad news. He's New World Order kind of shit,
all
you
around.
know. And he, his daughter's just like, that video was so fucking great. His daughter just like, I am so sick of your disingenuous fathering. And she was like,
Yeah.
and that's what her face said. Just like, I am sick of your fake being a dad when the media is here. And then fucking just being a cold, disengaged piece of shit fucking father the rest of the time, which you know he probably is. Just constantly, you know what kind of fucking how busy those people are and stuff. Like, he probably pays no attention to her unless people are watching.
Right.
And she just hates him. So yeah, the guy's a fucking seems like a scumbag at least. Let's see, what does this say about him? We know for a fact, all right, let's see. Ted Cruz keeps losing to a reality show host, which is deeply pleasing to me, his old roommate said. Only Ted Cruz can unite the party is the saddest sentence in politics right now. That must be his that must be his slogan. It'd be better for Cruz if Mazin simply hated him for his ideology, but that's not the case. I want to be clear because Ted Cruz is a nightmare of a human being, he said. I have plenty of problems with his politics, but truthfully his personality is so awful that 99% of why I hate him is just his personality. If he agreed with me on every issue, I would hate him only 1% less.
I like this guy.
A lot of people, I guess, hate this guy behind the scenes, hate Ted Cruz. If Truth Serum was given to the staff of the 2000 Bush campaign, which Cruz worked on, a huge percentage would vote for Trump over Cruz. Another Bush strategist tweeted. Blah-diddy, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, he's just...
I like this. People don't go after presidential candidates' personalities enough.
That seems to be all they do with Donald Trump. But whatever.
Yeah, but he's such a character. Like Ted Cruz.
He's
Ted
kind of
Cruz isn't really asking for it.
He's also kind of running on his personality.
Right.
And the fact that he kind of has one as opposed to every other candidate. Dude, how about we do the fucking... You know what? No, we're going to take a quick break before we do that. There's that video of that stupid fucking bird landing on Bernie Sanders' podium. So, what do you... I was thinking about that. Now, this might sound tinfoil hatty and whatever. You think that was a trained bird?
No.
No?
No.
Put a little seed
those birds
out.
are easily trainable.
You put a little seed out.
But it wasn't eating.
That wasn't even a kind of bird you ever see. That was like, where the fuck are you that like a green parakeet just flies up? You know? Like, you never see that. Do you? Is there some place? Where was he when that happened? We got to find that out. We'll do that
I'll
video.
find out.
Okay. So I have some things to say about that video, though.
All right, good.
Before we go to the break, I wanted to wrap up the rest of this president stuff really quick. Ted Cruz wants special police patrols in Muslim communities. NYPD had a program like that for a while that was massively criticized. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, and that's not really a thing we do in the United States.
Yeah.
As you know, and it's interesting because, like, with all this shit, that I'm saying, I'm not trying to be like anti anybody, but I'm trying to understand how a religion that's supposed to be inherently peaceful produces so much violence, and I really don't see the evidence that other religions are doing the same thing. You know what I mean? I see like conflicts around the world, and I'm sure there are some terrorist groups that are majority Christian or all Christian, or may even be a requirement to be Christian, but I don't see them committing acts of terror strictly because the Bible says to. And I'm sure a lot of what Muslim terrorists are doing too is more political than it would seem to us who are so far removed. So I don't know where, you know what I mean? What is it fair to really say about it? Is it really the book itself that's making people do this, or are these all political groups that happen to be Muslim, and it's kind of hard for us to decipher the way our media portrays it to us? I don't really know where I'm at with all this. I really don't know what I haven't made my mind up. Is that coming across right, the way I'm saying that,
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I don't want to assume that it is the book, but like you said earlier, like Islam is statistically more violent than any other single religion.
That's the way it looks, but there's also I think a lot more Muslims in the world than there are Christians, right?
I don't think so.
Aren't there?
No, I don't think so.
I thought it was. I thought it was like 1 billion Muslims right now. I don't know.
Hold on, I'm looking it up.
All right, you look it up. Ted Cruz
Christianity,
Sorry,
as of 2010, Christianity was by far the world's largest religion, with 2.2 billion adherents.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Islam was second with 1.6.
Oh, so then those memes where they point out that there's 1 billion Muslims aren't actually really getting their point across if you put it in perspective. Got it. Right. You see those memes that are like, hey, if all Muslims were violent, there's 1 billion of them, you'd all be dead. Like, well, if Christians were equally violent, they would have committed 260 acts of terror this year alone.
Yeah.
So, okay. Got it.
That's just math.
And again, I'm only doing that because I really feel like I'm kind of put in a position to defend Christians, even though I don't give a shit. And Christians have annoyed me my whole fucking life. I don't even like them, But I feel like almost in the position to defend them because I see such kind of a blind sort of tendency now for all the people on the left in this country who supposedly hate religion and think it's stupid, to now blindly support Muslims when they really don't know anything about it, and you're kind of called like names, you're racist or xenophobe if you're asking questions about this or not sure if this is a peaceful thing or not, or if this religion should be considered as legitimate as other religions or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I'm almost kind of obligated to defend logic here and say, like, well, who's really the problem? Is it your precious right-wing redneck Christians that you like to blame everything on, or this thing that you're now sticking up for no reason, which, by the way, you're sticking up for the most, hateful of women, oppressive to women, hateful of gays. In countries where they have Sharia law, they fucking cut gay people's heads off for even talking to each other online, It's absurd that you would want to just blindly support this culture when it produces so much craziness and violence. And it's also absurd to just write the whole thing off. That's what I'm saying. I just don't really know where I'm at with it. Not sure.
Yeah, I don't know how we're ever supposed to tell.
I have Muslim friends that I think are awesome people, like really intense, committed, very, very sound of mind, like morally consistent people. So it seems to be an intense religion, for better or for worse,
I know people who were raised Christian and converted to Muslim.
Really?
In Chicago, yeah.
Were they black?
People I went to high school with, huh?
Were they black?
No, they were white.
Okay. It seems like black people are more likely to convert to Muslim, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
But what
does everything have to be about race with you, Vinny?
I know. I'm just like Bernie Sanders. What was their story? Do you know?
No, I don't know the whole story. It was just something I learned about them later. But I like can't imagine making that decision as a white person in America who already had a religion, you know?
Yeah, well, they must have had some experiences and seen some things, made
I've
them
seen some things.
had a couple drinks, saw some things. This all right, so this article goes on to say Ted Cruz's plan they're talking about. This treats radicalization as though it is some sort of transmittable virus. It also expresses an attitude of inevitability to it. Cruz suggests that if the police don't do anything, Muslims in their neighborhoods are all destined to turn into violent radicals regardless of how they currently feel. Well, why, when the FBI or the CIA wants to create a radical cell, are they so successful at doing it if it's not sort of transmittable? You know what I mean?
That's a good point.
It's
yeah.
documented over and over and over again that people can be coerced through their religion or their beliefs, and anybody, not just a Muslim, but I'm just saying, for how many times it's documented that we, our alphabet agencies have purposely created a terrorist or a fucking hostile cell somewhere or this and that. It's totally possible to cultivate this behavior from people who may not have otherwise done it, right? It's kind of stupid.
Absolutely.
It's kind of stupid. It's from Reason.com. We know that's not true, and we know what this mindset ends up leading to because the New York Police Department already pulled this post-September 11th. Their idea of securing Muslim neighborhoods before they become radicalized involved mass surveillance of Muslim communities in New York and New Jersey, the use of paid informants, and in the end, it actually damaged the police's relationship with the community once it was exposed. What it didn't do is actually uncover so much as a single radical plot by potential Muslim terrorists in the community. Eventually, after being sued, the NYPD agreed to end the program. So they did to Muslims for a few years what they've been doing to black people for 60 years.
Yeah.
And
Take that, Muslims.
yeah, and they get sued. It really isn't much different than what they do with black neighborhoods and Mexican neighborhoods with gangs. It's really sounds kind of like the exact same thing. Mass surveillance, right? Use of paid informants. Yeah. I mean, come on, this goes on in American communities fucking constantly. Why can't they do it to Muslims who they believe are possibly hostile terrorists? You know what I mean? If you actually buy into that narrative,
right,
that there's fucking terrorists everywhere, well then why
but
would
there's no evidence of it. Like a gang usually has evidence that they are dangerous or commit violent acts.
Yeah, okay, I see your point.
Like, not that I'm trying to defend mass surveillance, but there's a difference between having cause
I
and
know, I'm
not.
just saying the hypocrisy of it in general. But
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, I guess you can't really support this kind of stuff because, it's the slippery slope thing of so they create the terrorists, they let the attacks happen or even fucking participate in them or whatever you may believe about that happened at 9/11, and then use that threat to take away rights slowly, because everybody will support this, and then we'll do the next thing and the next thing.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, fuck, that's a rough one though. That's a rough one to wrap your head around a little bit, I think. Cruz is nominally against some mass surveillance. He supported the USA Freedom Act, which scaled back some of the mass metadata surveillance authorities the National Security Agency seized under the Patriot Act. Blah-de-blah. Yeah, Ted Cruz has done some good things over the years, but I don't know.
I still want to punch him in his stupid face.
Yeah, okay, so that's his plan. Get that thing going again. And right now, I think he's probably just doing stuff like that to try to, look how Hillary Clinton just repeats everything Bernie Sanders says, basically. And,
yeah.
And she's just a copycat, if you ask me. Oh, God damn it. I forgot to mute that. She's just a copycat, if you ask me. And I think that's what the other Republican candidates are doing now, too. They're realizing, fuck, man, people are actually concerned about these issues that we avoided for seeming maybe too insensitive or whatever. Now we got to go over the top like this guy. Look, he's fucking successful as shit. This is what Americans are actually like. Let's get them, boys. Get the Muslims. No, I hate Muslims more. Dude, I've been hating Muslims for like 25 years. I just couldn't say it because of all of the fag lefties.
No one else said it.
Yeah. What?
Well, I was just gonna say at least Donald Trump would go through the trouble of killing all their families too.
Right. I mean, he's thorough. He's a good man and thorough. Yeah, you're back on the phone.
Well, I am because I wasn't done talking. And I agree. Ted Cruz is a weasel.
Right.
I agree with that. And that's even a bigger illustration of why I feel like Donald Trump was foisted upon the Republican Party as a plant from the Democrats. I mean, look at what they had to offer. You got the most beatable Democratic Party in my memory anyway. After the disaster of Obama, who actually.
All right, we'll be back on the Overdose Talk Show. Stick with us. All right, coming back on the Overdose Talk Show. Andrea, are you back here?
Oh yeah.
It's just like The Walking Dead. We always find each other again. In this show, they get like split up and all fucked up, and will go off for like a month at a time without seeing each other, and then they just like come across each other again in the woods. Like, hey, it's you. Oh, you still didn't get eaten by zombies? Yeah, us either. We call them walkers. So that fucking AI bot is probably the funniest. That Twitter bot that Microsoft made is one of the funniest things I've ever heard of in my life. What are they fucking thinking? People just still don't understand how the internet works. Like some of these big companies, I gotta think it's because some of the people in charge of making decisions in these big corporations, they're just so detached and so removed from society that they don't understand. You can't do a serious thing on the internet. That's not going to happen. No. So Microsoft made this AI Twitter bot that I guess would learn, it would learn how to talk based on how people talk to it, and it was kind of given a base personality. They said of like a young girl, like a
teenage girl.
Yeah. And she was into Miley Cyrus and stuff like that. And within 6 hours, she was a Nazi nymphomaniac, which
Hitler-loving sex robot.
What is that? What does it say? What's the headline?
That's what the article says.
Give us a little intro here.
The day after Microsoft introduced an innocent artificial intelligence chat robot to Twitter, it had to delete it after it transformed into an evil, Hitler-loving, incestual, sex-promoting, Bush did 9/11 proclaiming robot.
Dude, it was just tweeting things. Here's one of them. Fuck my robot pussy, daddy. I'm such a bad, naughty robot. That's just one tweet from it. Ted Cruz is the Cuban Hitler. He blames others for all problems. That's what I've heard so many people say. That's one of her tweets. Do we have some of them or what?
Yeah. Bush did 9/11, and Hitler would have done a better job than the monkey we have got now.
Oh my God. After 6 hours, it's calling Barack Obama a monkey. Oh my God.
Donald Trump is the only hope we've got.
Holy shit.
And repeat after me, Hitler did nothing wrong.
Yeah, but I just love that it's supposed to be like a teenage girl personality, too. Like,
well, and it makes it even creepy, too,
Well, it is, because she's like all into Miley Cyrus, Just
and they even have a picture.
Innocent girl.
Yeah, she looks just like a computer girl.
Wait a second.
Alright, I was sleeping next to him, but
Oh, this is Miley Cyrus.
I was dreaming about the other dude, and then all of a sudden,
I thought that was a
everything
guy.
he did just
Holy
made
shit.
me cringe. It was so hard to fall in, but so easy just to fall back right out again.
You mush mouth dyke.
This whole time I could give to you.
Shut up.
and I could take-
Mush
I was
mouth.
trying.
think what you want.
This is Miley
It's just,
Cyrus?
you know, I've been
God
good at
damn
making
it.
decisions, so-
This is not at all what I hoped that it would sound like. I was trying to put on some teeny bopper music and be the Twitter bot and talk about how great Hitler was. That's what Miley Cyrus sounds like now?
That sounds like maybe she did an album with the Flaming
She
Lips.
sounds like Drake. Yeah, dude, this fucking thing, they don't understand how the internet works. Other companies have done shit like this too. What was it? Mountain Dew tried to have people vote on the name of the new flavor of their soda, and the top answer was Hitler did nothing wrong.
Yep, that was number 1. Number 2 was Gushing Granny.
Oh my god, dude,
Yeah.
they don't get it. What
What are you doing?
How do you not get it? Fuck my robot pussy.
How about Bodie McBoatface?
Oh, Bodie McBoatface. Yeah, that fucking the British research vessel that had a contest to name the vessel, and Bodie McBoatface won by a very wide margin.
Yeah, an enormous margin. And it's also it's the most expensive research vessel that Britain has ever had. It's like the super fancy state of the art brand new thing, and they're calling it Bodie McBoatface.
That's how the internet works.
Yeah, how could you guys not know?
Take note, large corporations, stop trying to do serious stuff on the internet. Nobody's playing along.
Yeah, Microsoft pulled this Twitter bot down 24 hours after they put it up, claiming that she was tired and that she wouldn't be tweeting for a while.
She's all tuckered out, and she's just over in the corner like, there's no actual evidence that there was ever an official extermination policy. No documents can tie Hitler to any exterminations at Auschwitz or any other. Just like, shut up, Twitter bot. You're going fucking crazy.
You can't say that stuff. What don't you understand?
Hitler was provoked by Poland. Shh. Shh. Quiet. How long has Microsoft been around? Oh no, it was IBM. Okay, I was thinking, did Microsoft actually contribute to the Nazis? But that was IBM.
Yeah, no.
Almost 150 years after almost 150 years, the Rockefeller family will divest all interests in the family business, which of course is mostly oil, right?
Yeah, Exxon.
Yeah, okay. So what is this about? They're basically saying for moral reasons, we can't be a part of fossil fuels anymore. And people at Exxon are saying, well, of course not, because you're funding the conspiracy against us of global warming. All right. Now, without taking a really aside on that particular thing at this moment, this is a pretty interesting move on behalf of the Rockefellers, but I would imagine that they, and we probably should have looked into this, but maybe we can for the next show. I would actually imagine that, knowing them, they probably bought up a lot of patents for newer alternative energy and are figuring, look, that's the way it's going to go. This is the time to cut our losses and get out of this game and get ready to start raping everyone on the next energy source.
Yeah, it has to be.
That's my guess. But
that is probably the most accurate thing. They are citing, there was that big meeting in Paris, the Paris Agreement regarding
climate
pollution,
change,
global warming,
right? Yeah,
world plans, whatever. And they're saying that the science and intent enunciated there is what really pushed them to do it.
And they're also saying, Exxon has engaged in incredibly immoral behaviors and this and that, which I'm absolutely positive is true.
Of course.
But are we really supposed to just kind of eat out of the Rockefeller's palm here and say, "Oh, wow, you're so good for doing," like, now there's something very suspicious about this.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd say, to say the least. And I'm really surprised I haven't heard more about it from other sources. Honestly, this is a pretty crazy story. They're pulling all of their money out of any of their oil interests. That's what they're saying, right?
Yeah, anything related to fossil fuels.
That's pretty
They're
insane.
getting out of there.
So
Yeah,
does
let's
that
see,
leave like a power vacuum in the oil industry, though?
No, I don't think they control that much of Exxon and to really have an effect like that. But I think that they do. I think you're right. I think they will control enough of the next thing to stay relevant.
It would have to be that.
There's no reason that they wouldn't. Let's see. They're opting out of anything relating to coal companies or tar sands based oil producers as well.
Okay.
So that's a pretty wide range of things. I mean,
how did they how was the Rockefeller wealth originally amassed? Was it
Standard Oil.
that was the whole start of it?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
I don't think they were railroads. No, they were oil.
Right. Yeah. I was thinking railroads too for some reason, but I guess
Well, because that's all the real money either came from railroads or
oil or slaves.
or the first oil.
All right, so I guess we'll keep an eye on that, and let's analyze that a little bit more for the next show, and try to come up on a hypothesis of why they would be doing that, and what exactly the sinister plot really is, beneath the surface. I don't know what else to really say about it at this point, but they're pulling all their money out of oil.
Yeah, it's worth keeping an eye on. Let's find out what else they own.
Okay. Back to Syria, by the way. I said we were going to go over this. CIA armed militias are shooting at Pentagon armed ones in Syria. So what's going on is the CIA is operating in Turkey, right, and funding one of these rebel groups, because as we know, we're desperate to take out Assad, right? It's definitely not that we just want to be in an endless war forever, so we'll keep coming up with new enemies.
Who would want that?
It's a lot like Saddam Hussein, where you go, you can't really make the case that like Assad is a good guy, right? I mean, you can't really say that maybe something bad doesn't deserve to happen to him, but it's another one of these cases of like, we understand the motives. We're not actually going around the world after the real evil people, and
right.
this they only really represent a threat to us based in like exporting extremists here, and our really, really lax policy with that. So it's kind of a joke, that we're supposed to believe that this is the next evil. Whatever. Okay. The group that the CIA is funding from Turkey, after they cross the border, the CIA is basically saying, hey, once they cross the border into Syria, we don't really know what they're going to do. And so now it comes out they're just at war with another group that the Pentagon is funding.
Yeah.
So that's how.
Well, we'd like to know what they're doing over there, but that's not really our bailiwick.
Nah. Yeah. This fucking mess. It just makes you sick the more you find out about what we're actually doing. Think about how absurd that is. Two of our intelligence agencies funding two separate groups that are now fighting each other and hyping up this thing that we're all supposed to buy into. We need to have a presence there because it's unstable and there's people dying and it's crazy and blah blah blah. And this is just a great direct example of how we're pretty much causing a lot of the violence there.
Yeah, it's super fucked up, but I don't forget we did some learning about Syria, and the situation there is difficult to begin with because it's three parties, some fighting the same enemy and also fighting each other.
Right.
I mean, basically, there's three groups struggling for power, which means that
and you're talking
if we're aligned with both groups fighting against the government, trying to overthrow the government.
Are you talking about like Sunni, Shiite, and Alawite, or are you talking about like the
I'm talking about like citizens, government, terrorists.
There's the government, and then there's ISIS and Hezbollah and whoever else, and then there's the fuck, I forget the name of them, but they're the group that we were originally funding and sending weapons to. That's supposed to be fighting
Right.
Assad, and they're like the Free Citizens Army or whatever, and and they're the ones that keep getting just ambushed and have everything that we send to them given to Al Qaeda or
Right.
ISIS. Yeah.
Yeah.
And plus, a lot of members of their group tend to defect to ISIS. So that's how it works over there. Just some great.
That's how it works.
Some great work we're doing.
With as much violence and as many small groups fighting as there are, I just feel like it's inevitable that our intelligence agencies would be fighting themselves.
Well, of course, but
Eventually.
it just points out the absurdity of the whole thing.
Oh, yeah, it's insane.
It's just ridiculous. And yeah, okay, fine, it is likely to happen, but that should just show you the futility of the whole operation.
Right, exactly.
I mean, it's so out of control and insane. And this stuff has been going on obviously for hundreds of years over there. It's just a complete fucking mess. I don't know what else to tell you. I don't know what else to tell anybody. Jesus.
Sorry.
So our dad keeps calling the show. Like, what? Should we bring him on again? I guess.
Well, he has a lot of things to say about the Muslims.
Hello.
Well, yeah, you bring me on or one of your other callers.
We have had.
Oh.
I mean, if you have another caller that
Look. If you
has more important things to say, go ahead.
Did you just call to talk shit to us or what?
No, I'm very upset about.
All right. That was enlightening.
Was that it?
Yep. Jury sends message to cops. Go find real criminals. Acquits man on felony pot charges. Clark County, Nevada. In an emotional courtroom display Friday, Stephen Ficano, 65, embraced his attorney and his wife after the jury read their verdict of not guilty. In 2012, Ficano's house was raided by heroes protecting the citizens of Nevada from the horrors of marijuana plants. And for the next 3 years, Ficano anxiously lived his life thinking that he could live out the rest of his golden years in a cage for the crime of treating his pain with a plant. This is from Countercurrent News. Since he was arrested, Nevada has legalized pot dispensaries, blah, 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 blah. But in this case, the jury... Was this a nullification case or no? They took 1 hour to deliberate before highlighting the gross waste of taxpayer money and paying police. Yeah, this is basically jury nullification where they said this law is bullshit, therefore we are acquitting.
We will not convict.
Right, we won't convict based on the illegitimacy of this law, which is pretty cool. And if more people were educated on jury nullification, I feel like there'd be a whole lot less drug convictions in this country, period.
Right.
And if people were willing to take their cases to trial, which of course
Right,
is
I was
very
going to say that
expensive.
would also involve all those people pleading not guilty.
And actually being able to afford a lawyer who can navigate that kind of thing.
Right. Somebody close to us recently got excused from jury duty for discussing how they felt about cops.
Oh, really? Is that all you have to do?
Yeah. Apparently, they had like a prior conviction, and one of the lawyers was like, "Oh, how has this affected the way do you feel like you were treated morally well by the police officers?" And he said, "Well, I think they operated within the law." And I guess like all the lawyers' eyebrows kind of went up, and they were like, "Well, what do you mean by that?" And then it became a thing where it was like, "Well, I don't trust cops. I don't think that they do their job well. Their job is morally corrupt, and I've never had a good experience with one, and they hassle me and hassle my friends and this and that." And then all the lawyers and the judge like had a little quiet meeting at the bench, and then they were like, "Okay, you can go." That's all it took.
Yeah, that would be, I guess that would be one surefire way of doing it, or just get a bunch of felonies like me. You'll never have to worry about it.
Yeah. Well, and I thought you had to be registered to vote in order to get called for jury duty, but I guess that's not how it works anymore either.
Don't you legally have to be registered to vote?
No, you have to register for the draft.
Oh, that's what it is, and then that registers you to vote. But I guess if you're old enough, then you don't have to anymore.
Or a female.
The FDA just outlawed CBDs and hemp oil extracts by claiming all plant molecules now belong exclusively to Big Pharma. Did you see this thing?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense though.
Is this real? Did you fact check this?
No.
I saw a bunch of people share it. Maybe we shouldn't do it yet if we don't know. It says
Yeah, and
the FDA is trying to destroy the. It seems like a thing they would do. It's trying to destroy the
Right.
CBD industry with regulatory assaults, but the industry is pushing back. Nevertheless, the FDA is a formidable opponent. They can wage all sorts of regulatory assaults against natural substances they wish to regulate out of existence. This article takes a while to get to the point, but what did it? Do you know what it said or what?
no, just that they're trying to claim ownership for certain molecules. CBDs apparently are made up of a number of molecules within a cannabinoid.
Okay.
And that they're trying to make it more and more difficult to process and distribute those. Those are non-psychoactive ingredients in marijuana, if anybody is interested.
Right.
And they have great medical benefits. You can purchase them here in Illinois. You can
So
get like
this is
little
what-
capsules at the gas station even.
This
They're
is
like
what
for
people
anxiety and pain and
Right. This is what people get to like treat their kids' cancer without getting them all stoned.
yeah, so like why does it need to be illegal? What about that is dangerous?
Why does getting stoned as shit need to be illegal? It's all completely hypocritical.
Right.
Dumb. Yeah. I hate when people try to like, well, we need to get it decriminalized for medicinal use for blah blah blah. Like, dude, I'm not interested. Like, the whole thing is a complete joke. I want it legalized for just getting stoned because getting stoned is fun. That's why I want it. Fuck you. It doesn't have to be some grand intellectual fucking obstacle course of like, well, you see, they could make more taxes if they did it this. Like, how about that? It's just wrong to make it a criminal act. How about just that? That's all you need to say. That's it. It's just completely wrong for it to be illegal in every way, and everyone knows it. There's no who do you know that doesn't think that weed should be completely legal?
Yeah, anyone that I've ever met in my life who like has anything against weed, their only reason is, well, it's illegal.
That's the only thing people can come up with, yeah.
Right.
Well, it's illegal. Why is it illegal? Does not compute.
Yeah. Because it's a drug.
Kill all humans.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you just fucking yank out the chip in the back of their neck. You're done with them. But yeah, dude, all this stuff recently about like people coming up with these really complex justifications for weed being legal. Like, no, you don't have to. It's just
Hey, let me tell you something. Have you ever traveled to a place where weed is just legal for fun? Because it is a different world.
I will tell you that yes, I have, because it used to be, young Andrea, the case in this country that when you were at a concert or some such event, there was an unwritten agreement between people and police that you just did not get arrested for weed. And that has changed over time. But if anybody out there is like 30-ish or maybe a little younger or a lot older, you'll remember a lot of concerts that it just was fine to smoke weed. And now that's just not, like, you see people get arrested at fucking hippie festivals now and shit like that. So yes, I have in fact traveled to a strange land where smoking weed was legal, but that was a long time ago when...
Yeah, and it's also not exactly what I'm talking about.
I know, Andrea. I'm just trying to take up some fucking time, okay? I'm saying that it really used to be, it might as well have been legal to smoke weed at concerts until, like, I don't know, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The ability to like wander into a store and say, I'll take one of those and I'll take one of those and I'll take one of those and I'm going to get high as shit. And the guy behind the counter going, all right, cool. Like, that's, it's an important experience, and it should be exactly that easy to get weed no matter what.
Yeah, see, but if I did it, I wouldn't even allow myself to appreciate it because I would be so fixed on the idea of like, yeah, this is just how it should be. This is fine. This is
Yeah.
I'm not gonna
I
be
shouldn't even get excited about this because this is what I've deserved all along.
exactly. Yeah, totally. I wouldn't even have any fun. Just be like, yep, I'm getting stoned like I do every day. Just shut up about your stupid hippie bullshit. Give me some weed.
Yeah, you would probably hate it because you would have to talk to a different person who smokes weed.
Oh, dude, I hate buying weed from guys that know too much about weed. Like
Yeah.
that is the worst. Just like, well, so what are you into? What kind of weed do you like? Like it's like gets you really high weed.
Yeah, you got any of that or?
Yeah, I don't know. One time I had something called Colorado Pine. That was in 2001. Do you have that?
Yeah,
Like when guys
it
want to
was
just
really good.
talk about strains, like, and then they tell you, and the whole reason they ask you, the only reason they ask you is because they want to tell you theirs. You know, like, see, bro.
Yeah, and no
'cause-
matter what you say, they'll be like, "Oh, I got the perfect thing. It's blah 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 blah." Blah.
But see, I'm really into sativas. You know, I like to be up and about and like kind of stay clear headed, but get a good buzz. And I'm just like, dude, you are killing not only the buzz I have now, but you're doing like you're giving me like a weird. There's gonna be a retroactive effect where I won't even be able to get stoned off the weed you give me for another week. If you don't shut the fuck up. Stop talking about weed and smoke it. I don't know why, dude. I'm sure, I don't know. I just can't get into like the weed connoisseur thing. As much as I've smoked weed every day since I was fucking 16 years old, I just can't appreciate it. I just don't care at all. It's like, let's get stoned. I've never been stoned as shit and been sitting there going like, you know, I really appreciate the kind of like subtle nuances of this. No, I'm fucking laughing at something. I'm thinking about why isn't a TV more like two-way? Why can't I go in it? You know, what's going on here? You know, I'm thinking about stuff like that. I'm not fucking worried about the specifics.
This weed got me so high. What kind was it? I want to order it again.
Hey, throwback Thursday, Andrea, to that time that the Dutch ate their prime minister. Now, I know nothing about this. You came up with this right before the show started, and apparently a prime minister got ed up at some point. You want to tell me about it?
Yeah, I couldn't help myself with this story.
Okay.
This was in the 1600s.
So this isn't current, actually.
No, this was a long time ago, but I think that this is something we might be able to bring back.
Mm-hmm.
The Dutch were at war with England and France.
Okay.
And they were super pissed off at Johan de Witt, who was their prime minister and their leader at the time.
What did he do?
He ended up,
What did he do?
Well, he was, I guess, the reason that they were at war with a bunch of countries.
Mm-hmm.
And they were pissed off about it.
Somebody fucked his wife, who was actually his cousin, or some bullshit fucking hillbilly royal shit. He got all pissed off. They were in Germany and France and stuff. They were all just like hillbilly kings, you know. From way back then in like the 12 and 1300s and stuff. They used to just set up a king every like 10 miles, and they were all idiots, you know. And so as like royalty then warred with each other and then had, you know, their descendants took over and stuff, like the products of royalty in that area of Europe, they're just all like inbred psycho hillbillies by the 1600s. So
Yeah.
I'm sure that was going on with this guy. Anyways,
Yeah.
Go on.
So anyway, amid public pressure, he ended up resigning from his position because he was afraid of what the people were going to do to him. And then he hung low until something happened with his brother, where his brother was like implicated in a murder plot for the new leader. And so DeWitt came back to save his brother. Johann DeWitt came back to save his brother. And the townspeople were so fucking mad about it that they just started grabbing, a mob formed, and they just started like pulling him apart and stabbing him. They hit him in the head and then shot him in the head. And then he was strung up.
They had one of those guns that looked like a trumpet back then. You know,
Yeah.
It's like those stupid 1600s guns that they had to load powder in for 6.5 minutes. Just hang on,
Can you
hold,
imagine one of those at point blank range, though?
hold him. Wait, I missed from 2 feet because this bullet actually just came out sideways. Hold on.
Yeah. I'll just pack some gravel into it. That'll get him.
Yeah.
So anyway, they strung them up and mutilated their bodies and then started cutting them apart and eating them.
Who's them? I thought it was just the one guy
No, him and his brother.
and his brother. Okay.
Yeah. But the whole thing started because Johan, the former prime minister, came back to try to defend his brother from the murder allegations. And they just killed both of them. And then, let's see, his eyeball was eaten. Somebody cut out a piece of his heart and kept it.
Okay,
and it has
that's good.
bite marks in it.
Yeah.
And then people dipped handkerchiefs in their blood to make souvenirs and kept toes and the tongue for decades.
Well, man, that's when people used to be passionate, you know?
Yeah.
All that fucking printed type really just became too much of a distraction, I think. This is when people
Yeah.
this is when people were real. That's kind of I see why you picked the story out because I know what it is. You want that to happen now. You want
Yes.
you don't want to see people like impeached or kicked out of office. You're like me. You want us to eat them.
I want to see them get eaten.
Yeah, I get it.
When it comes down to it, the only thing I care about is seeing bad people get eaten.
So then what happened? The other politicians they fucking straightened up right quick, I bet.
Yeah, I don't doubt that for 1 second.
It's
Like, what the fuck, you want to get at?
they're like talking.
No, they already had a new guy that they really liked at this point, and that's what this was all about. Because the brother was being accused of plotting a murder for the new guy.
Then they ate him.
They ate them. They were like, hell no. We
my
like
God.
this guy.
Did they
And
cook
you
him?
look delicious.
Do you know if they cooked him?
No, they just started fucking chewing on
They
him.
just chewed him. They hated him so much. They just
Yeah.
Man, I would do that. See, I might eat somebody if I hated him enough. Just I don't know if I'd swallow him, but I'd chew him up. I'd rip
Yeah,
pieces
that's
off.
an incredibly disrespectful thing to do to a corpse.
Oh yeah, you just rip pieces off, chew them up,
I
spit
am
'em out.
so much better than you. You're just food.
Yeah, you do the fucking no, yeah, you just kind of do the thing where you just chew it up and kind of get the essence of it, you know, but you don't really have the balls to swallow it.
Yeah, you just spit it back out onto them.
Yeah, it's good enough. It looks even better that way, more dramatic.
Yeah. More blood, more flesh
Um,
laying around, which
Dude,
is important.
I really would. How much would you love to just wake up tomorrow and see an article on like alternate like, oh dude, crazy right wingers tore Barack Obama apart and just ate him in the street. Like what? Really? Holy shit! Okay, I am suddenly interested in politics again.
Yeah,
I'm
finally.
Back, I'm back in. This shit is getting good now. Man, I one time had that dream that Barack Obama was a demon in my bathroom.
Yeah.
Did I tell you about that?
It was more like a hallucination, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like a daydream, but it was really strong and weird. And then later, I saw the YouTube video of a psychic saying how a lot of people would have like visions of Barack Obama as a demon. And I was like, damn, that just happened to me like a week ago.
Yeah, you said that, but I was never able to find that video of that psychic.
Well, I saw it, and I swear to you it was true. But it was a weird one. It was like he was just in the bathroom or something, or in the fucking, I forget. I think I was in the shower, and I looked out of the curtain, and Barack Obama was standing there in the bathroom. He had a suit on and everything, but he had like dark black eyes and was just staring at me. And I said, "Are you here to kill me?" And he goes, "There's some things that are worse than death." I'm like,
Ew.
oh my God. I don't think I could have even imagined that on my own, honestly.
No, that's horrible.
Yeah, why would I? And
Why? And if it was going to be anyone, why would it be Barack Obama?
I don't know. I'm not even afraid of him. I don't know how that happened.
Isn't there someone scarier?
Yeah, dude. Like, why wasn't it fucking, one of the Rothschilds or something? Why wasn't it, who's like a real creep? Who's like a real creepy dude?
Kissinger?
Yeah, Henry Kissinger. Or even Chris Matthews. Why wasn't Chris Matthews in my fucking bathroom?
Yeah.
Did somebody tell me to stop possessing you? Am I supposed to stop possessing? Well, it sounded like in my earpiece.
I thought someone told me to.
So keep taking his soul? Yes, please do. Okay. Another ghost city appeared in the clouds in China. Why are they always having these ghost cities? They try to blame it on some weird type of mirage last time.
Yeah,
this
some
happened.
light bendy thing.
A reflection in as part of light refraction in the atmosphere.
Like reflection.
Like they talk about when you got a mirage, like we talked about with all the flat Earth people, how it's like, why can I see further than mathematically I should be able to see? I shouldn't directly be able to see this building that's this distance away because mathematically it should be below the horizon. And
right. And they're like, oh, it's just the light bends.
But so I don't know, dude. But scientists seem to say that light, and light is matter, so it is subject to gravity, right? So it would make sense that your sight is based on light, right? And light reflecting off things and back into your cornea or however, and you process it. So it would make sense that if light is susceptible to gravity, that you would see around the curve of the Earth a little bit. I kind of have come to terms with that. Haven't you?
No way.
No? You're still flat earthing it?
I will never come to terms with that.
But so they're saying, like, this is kind of the opposite effect or whatever, the inverted reflection somehow of something on the ground appearing in the sky. I don't know. That sounds crazier to me. That sounds nuts. So these cities keep appearing above China. And it really does, if you see the pictures, it really looks like a whole grouping of skyscrapers. It almost looks like Gotham City looking kind of thing. Just these dark skyscrapers.
Poking out of some clouds.
Or a dark city. Ooh. I didn't think of that.
Perfect.
Yeah, I was watching some of that the other day. It's classic.
Well, I think that this is an obvious test of the Project Bluebeam.
Do you?
There's never been anything more obvious.
Are you being? I can't tell if you're being sarcastic.
No, that's what a lot of people are saying.
Then why wouldn't they let me? Why wouldn't they let me into the facility, Andrea? I've been a governor and a fighter and a Navy SEAL. If this
why
city,
come?
Why come wouldn't they let me in the facility to inspect it? I want the answers. Is this city appearing above China a test of the new Project Bluebeam or HARP? But is it?
I don't know. I can't see what benefit it has to project a city into the clouds, but I think that it would be absolutely possible. And also, I don't understand. This is the second time now that the city has appeared like emerging from clouds. Wouldn't it need to be clear in order for the light to refract around unobstructed by, wouldn't the clouds obstruct?
That is weird because, like, the bottoms of the buildings are coming out of the clouds. Like, if there was some kind of plane that it needed to be projected on. But then again, clouds are layered. You might have some in front, some behind. I don't know. But I don't buy it, dude. I don't know. Yeah, it would seem like this would have to be some kind of trickery. And this is what Project Bluebeam was from the beginning, was it was supposed to be images projected over foreign lands to scare and intimidate them. That was the whole thing. And the main thing was Muhammad, right? What if we could project Muhammad in the sky and fucking scare the shit out of a whole Muslim country? And just sit back and
we're
laugh.
Gonna spook them good.
No, but that was what it was originally talked about in intelligence agencies. Is like that was
right in order to inspire a new worldwide religion,
or just to be used in warfare. that's how it was developed, and that's how it was sold. You know, and how the funding was gotten is we need this tool in warfare. So yeah, I don't know. It could be some kind of and China probably has this technology too, right? Why wouldn't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
They've got
do.
everything we've got and then some, as far as I can tell.
Yeah. Well, they've got a lot more people working on it.
A lot more little, tiny, efficient, good at mathematics people. It's true, right? What is this alien outpost found on Mars? A remarkable artifact has been found on the red planet by the Mars Curiosity rover. The artifact...
No, how do you even have that? I took that away.
You took this away?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's why it looks all incomplete and weird. Oh, the bikers. 48 more bikers indicted in the Waco... What is this? My headline is cut off. Do you have
Twin
it?
Peaks shooting.
Oh, Twin Peaks shooting. Okay, that's right.
Remember?
Yeah, that's right. And we surmised that the county was making a shitload of money off of this, basically.
Hell yeah. They had like 100 and something people in custody, each with their bail set at $100,000 at least, which means that they were making like over $1 million. Oh, this was, remember our horrible math that we tried to do for like 3 episodes?
Oh, right.
Whatever,
because they
making
have to
over
pay-
$1 million on it.
Right, they have to pay 10% bail. And
Yeah.
yeah.
So now they've indicted 48 more people that they apparently have proof of having been there.
And they're indicting them just for like mob action for being there.
Engaging in organized criminal activity.
Right.
Accused of being complicit in the shooting just by virtue of being there.
So this happened. This was a long time ago at this point. I don't know why we took such an interest in this story. I guess because it had
This was May.
Because basically the police started the shootout, right? Because it was
That's what, yeah.
It was basically a bar brawl that it seemed like the police fired 90% of the shots once it turned into a shootout. Like they basically just started kind of shooting at everybody, and it was the Cossacks and what was the other gang? Banditos, right?
Banditos, yeah.
Yeah, who is like the legitimate gang, and the Cossacks are just like a fucking club that they're tough dudes, but they don't run drugs and all this kind of shit. They're not really like an organized crime unit. So they get in a fight with the Banditos. Cops come in and just start wasting everybody. 9 or 10 people got killed from what I remember, I think. And then they started indicting these people and just raking in the dough.
Just pulling it on in.
So what else about this? Anything?
No, but I did learn through this that okay, so they released the restaurant released like some of their surveillance footage. But most of the people involved have been signed to gag orders, and they're not allowed to talk about like what they saw or how they perceived the events. And a lot of people who spoke before that took effect said that it seemed like the police were firing most of the shots, and then the police came through and said, you guys aren't allowed to talk about any of this.
No, but then they did forensics, and it turned out that like an overwhelming percentage of the shells were from police weapons.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's completely. It was just really just them kind of going nuts when they didn't need to. Seems like.
Yeah, and we kind of imagined from the beginning that their overwhelming presence there was never to prevent violence from happening. It seemed like all the cops were waiting around for the violence
or something to happen so they could just escalate it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And this article that we have, this was from Cop Block, but they also point out that many of these meetings that they did, this was like a community meeting, and a lot of times these biker communities will get together. They've done this like a zillion times with a bunch of different biker groups getting together and talking about this thing or that thing as a large group. And so many of these have happened with absolutely no violence, no even arguments, nothing.
Right.
And it just seemed
and then this one
over the top.
This one was a brawl that started because somebody stepped on somebody else's shoe. But you know, I've personally seen bikers get really mad when someone stepped on their shoe, so I know that that's real. The old co-host of the show, actually, one of the first times I ever hung out with him, the Earthling. We were at this bar in Berwyn, Illinois. There's some stupid fucking faggot wannabe biker gang was there. And, this place is like shoulder to shoulder, crowded. And so I'm walking with him, and we go outside to smoke a cigarette. And this fucking biker comes walking out and goes, hey, to Trix, to the Earthling. He goes, hey, you stepped on my shoe back there. And Trix goes, yeah. And he goes, well, next time. And he said something really awkward and stupid. He tried to be tough, but it came out real dumb. He's like, no, next time you step on somebody's shoe, you might want to be more careful or something like that. It just was like real stupid. And so Trix leans into him and goes, clearly it was an accident. And the guy goes, yeah, well, you need to watch what you're doing. And so he says it again. He goes, clearly it was an accident, sir. And he goes, so the biker guy goes, oh, you think you're tough or whatever? And Trix goes, all right, why don't you just hang out right here for a minute? And so we leave, and he goes around the bar and tells a few people, and these are all a bunch of like pretty rough dudes that are all from like Berwyn, Cicero, Lyons area, And so it turns into, in like the next 45 seconds, there's now this big standoff between like 15 like local kind of like rough dudes, that I kind of hang out with and he's friends with, and this whole biker gang. And it was almost an all-out like blood-spilling brawl, but the fucking cops show up right away in that neighborhood. And so somebody called or whatever, and the cops showed up, and it all kind of petered out. But it was all because Trix fucking stepped on a guy's shoe in a bar where people are fucking crowded in like sardines and stepping all over each other constantly. These guys are, some of them are just fucking assholes, just with no logic to anything.
They just want
to
fight.
And I think these are dudes who they've watched too much TV and too many movies, and they really want to live that life, although they don't have any reason to,
Yeah.
Bunch of fucking fake ass wannabe gangbangers.
They'll find a way.
Yeah. I want to come back and do a couple other things, if that's cool with you, Andrea Miko.
Yeah.
Let's come back and do some freestyling. Oh, you know what? If you want to call in, we'll take any topic you got. 630-599-7827 to join the show. This is the Overdose Talk Show. When we come back, we'll take calls from whoever about whatever. Thanks for hanging out with us, y'all. Andrea, are you here?
Yeah.
You are?
Yes.
Andrea's voice has been fucked up for like 3 months.
It's bad. Well, my voice hasn't been that bad. It's been my lungs mostly, but my voice has gotten real bad over the last week.
You've been sick longer than anyone I've ever heard of before.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
You're never going to get better.
No, I've been sick for 10 weeks.
Actually, if you were a pet, I would think that you were going to die soon. It's only you being a person that makes me think you might live.
Yeah, well,
Are you dying?
I'm beginning to wonder.
Dude,
I don't
you've
know.
been sick too long.
10 weeks.
You don't have lung cancer, do you?
No, that would have come up on an x-ray.
So you've been checked for all like the serious stuff?
Yes.
Because it would be someone like you that like quit smoking a long time ago that would have lung cancer. Like,
Right, that's how it always goes.
You're like all health conscious. You have like a really strict diet. You quit smoking. You don't drink. You totally have cancer. And then a piece of shit like me, I'll live till I'm like 105, completely miserable, not even appreciating it at all. Just fucking smoking and drinking. Yeah.
And I'll just wither away in my 30s.
You're not gonna make it another year.
Oh, shit. Sucks.
Are you worried?
No.
Dude, you've been sick for months.
Yeah, it's weird. It's uncomfortable.
It's disgusting.
It's fucking expensive is what it is.
It really is.
It is disgusting too. I won't even tell you.
No, it is. I bet you're like thousands in the hole by now.
Oh, I got my first bill from the hospital for 20 grand.
Dude, when you get one of those bills from the hospital, you just look at it and you just laugh. You're just like, oh, okay. Yeah, right.
You just fold it back up and put it back in the envelope.
Dude, that's exactly what I did. When my initial bill from my hospital stay when I was there for like 6 days, it came and it was like $28,700. And I just looked at it and I just laughed. I'm just like, right. That's a real number, sure.
Yeah,
okay.
You'll get that money.
Yeah, I'm gonna pay that. No, I don't think so.
Well, and
like that's a number.
Was like,
that's a number too that you don't even bother trying to make a payment. You're like, why would I? I'm never gonna pay that whole thing. This is just now my credit's over. I'm just ruined.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll marry someone with good credit.
Sure. Well, we've tried to explain to David Box, Andrea's fiance. He doesn't get it. Like, when you get in a relationship with someone in our family, that means you sign papers, you fucking drive cars, you know, you're on the hook. We're not. We're a piece of shit family that has no credibility with anyone. No, we're all just complete criminals with horrible records in every aspect of life. You can't try to get into this family without, you know what I mean? That's why we
unless you intend on carrying us.
That's why we marry people in our family.
Right.
It's like you're the one that gets the loans. Everything's in your name. And David Box is like so resistant to that. He's like, no, what did we want him to do one time? Like rent a car or something? And he's like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm like, dude, you don't get it. This is what you do now. This is this is like your whole thing. You're with one of our family. You have to fucking be the one. You have to you have to get us this entrance into the world of real people with credit cards.
Yeah, he's so nice though. He like believes in me and thinks that I can do it for myself. Right?
Idiot. Alex in Downers Grove, Illinois, on the telephone. Hello.
Hey, how are we?
What's going on?
Oh, another beautiful day in Downers Grove.
What are you thinking about tonight? What do you got? You
I got something that's really been bugging me lately.
Okay.
It's the way. Where do I even begin?
The
way.
never
Okay,
mind.
this whole LGBTQWF movement.
Wait, what was hold on. What was the last three letters of that?
I don't know. F and W.
LGBTQ.
LGBTQ and F.
And F?
Lesbian, gay, bisexual, transsexual, queer, and fag. But I've got a big problem with like all of these labels that they give each other.
Okay.
Like
hold on. Before you get into
I'm a pansexual, trans woman who is attracted to horses, and sometimes I like to fuck cats. And I also identify as a unicorn. Like, shit's getting ridiculous. What is pansexual? I don't even understand.
You're saying we've gone too far down the path of like trying to be tolerant and accepting of every alternative lifestyle to the point now that people can just make anything up, and it's like, well, if you don't support it, you're a bigot. What is that?
My stupid faggot dog.
I think I see what you're getting at.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, Andrea, what did you want to interject with?
I just wanted him to know that if he was going to start talking about labels, he should know that the Q doesn't stand for queer. It stands for questioning.
It stands for what?
I thought it stood for queer too.
No, it's questioning. So people who like find themselves in a gray area or don't really have a clear definition of who they are.
Still undecided.
Wow, that's hilarious.
Right.
I just assumed that it was queer.
Yeah, I totally thought it was queer.
Didn't it used to be?
But
I don't know, but
what-
now there's a term called genderqueer, which apparently means that you're not sure which gender you identify with. You're only sure of who you're attracted to, and
Okay.
oftentimes it's both genders.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, but so
There was
here's the
this
thing.
there was this
I like
one
to see.
feminist interview, and this lady said she was like a pan gender or pansexual queer gender something. Like she doesn't know what sex she identifies with, and she also doesn't know what sex she's attracted to, and it just sounds like a way to fucking get a bunch of attention. I don't understand it.
So
And
what's
I
bothering me?
have a big problem with the fact that they're trying to say now that there's more than two genders. There's two genders. You're male or you're female. I mean, there's hermaphrodites, but even they have either an X and Y chromosome or two X's.
Okay. And I think there is some weird kind of some general, I don't know, maybe you would call it inconsistencies in the philosophy of people who are really into doing away with gender roles and stuff, because you get into this area of like, you know, if you want to be feminine, if you don't believe in gender roles and you believe in total like liberation from that kind of I guess from that structure. So if you're a feminine male who wants to wear female clothing and be with other males, why do you have to be recognized as a female? Why can you not be secure in the fact that you're a feminine male if you don't believe in gender roles? You know what I mean? Why do you need to assign, because you have classically the traits that are considered to be feminine and female, why does that mean you have to be considered a female if in fact none of these gender roles matter? Why are you not just a male that does that?
I have been saying that all along.
Right, I get that. But also, you know, I think it's kind of nice and encouraging that people are feeling freed by some of this stuff and going, okay, just because I'm called this doesn't mean I have to act this way, and I want the freedom to be who I am, and I don't think I should be persecuted for it. And I like some of that stuff. I like that people are freeing up and making it okay to be whoever you are, but I think you're right that it can be taken too far to the point that it really just doesn't make sense anymore, you know? And it kind of, I guess it cheapens the whole thing.
It's stupid.
Yeah.
Well, and another thing, like, I don't care who someone's attracted to. I don't care if you think you're a girl, even though you've got a balls and cock. Like, I don't care at all.
That's the thing, yeah.
I do have a problem when they try to force what they call their gender-specific pronouns on you. My friend just told me a really funny story yesterday. He went to Oregon University last year, and during his initiation, they'd have their group leader take him around, and the guy would introduce himself, he'd say where he'd from, and then he'd say, my gender-specific pronouns are he, him, and whatever. And it's just a really weird direction that we're going in. Like, why does that matter? And I'm fine with if you want to say you're something or whatever you believe in, that's okay, but you're forcing your beliefs on other people when you make them call you he. When you're not a he, you're a fucking woman.
But then again, why should it bother you? And I totally have the same thing. I totally have the same thing where I go, look, I have a hard time calling a transsexual male she. And that's kind of petty. I recognize that because it doesn't hurt me to call that person she. And if it makes them feel good, why don't I just do it? I don't know, but there's just something kind of off about it still to me, you know, where
exactly. And I don't have a problem with it. Like, okay, if there's like some transsexual that like really does look like a chick, like I might call her a chick, I might call her she. But when it's like questionable and then you get persecuted for not using the right pronoun, I think that's when it goes too far.
Well, the idea that, you know, you've heard the term virtue signaling. You know, everyone is so concerned with signaling their own virtues and how accepting they are, and it becomes this kind of ritual of condemnation of anyone who's not, quote unquote, as enlightened on the issue. You know, and that's really unfair too, because a lot of people who have no hate in their heart come across to some of these other people as horribly insensitive or even bigoted, when really you're just kind of, you don't really care. You know, it's just whatever. You know,
right? Like I probably do sound like a bigot right now, but I don't give a shit.
Well,
in reality,
you would to a very sensitive person who's kind of engaging in this religion of constantly morphing standards of decency in speech. You know, which is, it's just really not fair. Is, you know, I've seen plenty of videos and stuff where somebody goes to a college campus and they go, okay, what words are okay to say and what words aren't okay to say? And 9 out of 10 of the fucking people have completely conflicting views about what's okay and what isn't okay, but they all believe being sensitive and PC is the right thing to do. But nobody even really knows what the rules of it are. It's just kind of a religion. It's a religion of condemning other people.
Written,
you know,
like where do these PC rules come from? Like they just seem to form and they evolve every year. I mean, you say like with black people, for example, you know, it was niggers, then it was Negroes, and then it was coloreds, and then it was African Americans, and now it's black. Isn't there another?
I'm not sure you had that. I'm not sure you had that order correct, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
Was that order not
I think
correct?
It was a little bit out of order, yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, and that's to me is a whole other thing. That
is a different thing, because it's really like that language was meant to bring those people down, but just the way our politically correctness evolves, it's strange.
Yeah, it is, and like I said, the standards are constantly morphing. So, you know, whereas like in casual conversation, I swear to God, 5-8 years ago, you could just say tranny. Okay?
Yeah.
And now that's like really bad. You don't even say that. I was in a fucking conversation not too long ago where this DIY house we talked about on the show a bunch of times. Their name was the Gypsy House. You remember this, Andrea?
Yes.
This fucking sparked this giant outcry from, you know, all these little Facebookers on the Chicago DIY music page. You know, like hundreds of people going, gypsy's a racist slur. It's a racial slur, and I can't believe you would name your venue that. You're disgusting people. People were taking it so far as to say, I have the right to be in a safe space when I go to a local show, and if your name is this, you're promoting violence. It's like...
Wait, that's... gypsies? Like, the true definition of gypsies are just people that descended from Romania.
Well, and it was actually, you know, they were largely made of like nomadic bands that kind of robbed and murdered a lot of people, you know, and it was kind of
yeah.
That, and I don't think it's a term that ever was like a complete, you know, a term for one complete nationality or something. I think it more stemmed from these nomadic groups that would befriend travelers, take them into their camps, and then kill them in their sleep and take all their stuff. Whatever. Anyways, but it then over time became sort of synonymous with like bohemian, you know, I'm a gypsy, I wear a lot of bracelets, and I don't care about anything and dance around. It kind of became that over time. And that's why Americans sort of co-opt the word and go gypsy, you know what I mean? It's become that kind of thing. So people are my point is, people got the idea that, hey, look, we're supposed to, a couple people spoke up. We're supposed to be offended by this. So now let's all act, like we're totally on board with this thing, because I would have never said this 2 weeks ago casually in conversation without realizing it was quote unquote insensitive. And you should have seen the hundreds of people just show up like, this is just abhorrent. I can't believe you would use that word. Like, dude, I looked on the Yellow Pages when that whole argument was going on, yellowpages.com, whatever it is. In Chicago, there was like 16 businesses with the name Gypsy in them. I looked in New York, and it was like in the 30s. There were of how many businesses there were with the name Gypsy in them. And then I was looking up albums and songs, and thousands of like in American music over time have had the word gypsy, and famously the Band of Gypsies, with Jimi Hendrix and stuff like that. And it's not a word that has been used derogatorily in our culture. It just isn't. It just simply isn't. And because at some point it was somewhere, and and whatever, it's like now people are, it's more this idea, no one's actually offended. They just get the idea they're supposed to be, and if they're not, then they could be one of the bigots. And this is why I always say the real racists are on this like knee-jerk, pseudo-compassionate far left of our political spectrum. They are the real racists, because I swear to God, the only thing that could drive you to be that compulsive and race obsessed and to be constantly signaling your own virtues is if you were really afraid of what is in your own heart racially. You were really afraid of what you really thought coming out, you would constantly scramble to seem compassionate. That's a racist. A racist, and a person who's afraid of being exposed. People who actually speak their minds are pure of heart.
The liberals are way worse, because
they are the racists in this country. They really are the real racists, and it comes up time and time again. Well, Andrea, what were we talking about earlier? Where I was like, man, it's example after example after example of how like the left, despite the superficial appearances, are really the real deep racists.
We were talking about the Muslims.
Oh, right, about about how they rush to defend Muslims in all cases now. Whatever. No, was that what it was? Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Anyways, fuck. That's what we keep finding out over and over again, is these people that are just obsessed with just, I'm not, no, I could never be. If you are, we'll burn you at the stake. Like, man, come on. If you're really that obsessed and that worried, you got something dark in your heart. Very much so. So what is it, do you think, that bothers you so much about the gender assignments and stuff like that? Because don't you see how it's like, it's kind of cool for that to be kind of turned on its ear, And I get it. It's whatever, for those of us who are hetero, normal people, we go like, oh, it's just kind of annoying at times and whatever. But like, I don't know, dude. I like anything that has to do with like liberating people's thoughts and doing away with social constructs and
totally
structures which can be used to pit people against each other. Because genders are another way we're pitted against each other, just like religions, races, and everything else. So, I'm half and half on it.
Yeah, but I mean, gay is like the new black. It's like really popular to be gay.
Everybody's turning gay all the time.
Gay is the new black.
The color, not the race.
This is the PC show of the year. Tristan. Why do you say that? Because you're just jealous because you're a fucking.
No, it's
hip.
Like, I challenge you to go on ESPN and not see some commercial about some like gay skier who's like, I had the courage to come out, and now I'm wearing silk saddles. And it's everywhere you look.
You're just jealous because the era of the cis white male is over, and your dominance no longer will reign over these.
Well, I could go gay, and then I'd be way up in the top of the food chain.
Yeah, why don't you? Why don't you go gay?
I might go gay just to become really successful.
Yeah, well, you might want to. You might want to go gay and marry a Jewish guy if that's your goal.
Yeah,
That's the dream.
I don't know if I could go gay though. I don't know if it would work.
Oh, sure.
But-
Race mixing doesn't bother you at all, but it's the gay thing. You fucking traitor. That's going to be it for tonight on the Overdose. Thank you for calling in, Alex. Giving us a little boost at the end of the show. Andrea, get well sometime.
Thank you.
Sometime ever would be
One
good.
day.
And, yeah, if you're dead soon, I don't know.
I owe you $10.
I guess Alex will be getting a lot of more time on the show.
Yeah, all right. But look, the definition of pansexual, not limited in sexual choice with regard to biological sex, gender, or gender identity. It's just stupid. And with that, let's end the show.
All right, Alex, final thoughts.
Nice.
Good night, everybody.